Chapter 188. Treating the rotten flesh. Elder brother, Han Feng, both of you hold down Xiao Nanya's shoulders. Remember, he mustn't move. Lin Xingqian, you hold his legs. Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's instructions, the three immediately stepped forward. Jiang Peihuan sanitized her hands with white wine, then turned to Yi Xiao and said, "Prepare the hemostatic medicine. As soon as one remove the arrow, apply the medicine powder." "Yes, eldest Mississippi." Following Jiang Peihuan's instruction, Yi Xiao readied several white gauzes, sprinkling the medicine powder on them, and holding a bottle of hemostatic medicine in her other hand. After ensuring everything was prepared, Jiang Peihuan turned to the man on the bed, whispering, "Xiao Nani, I am about to remove the arrow. It has barbs, so expect excruciating pain when I extract it. The wound is close to the heart, so you must stay still." "I understand." Upon hearing his response, Jiang Peihuan took a firm grip on the arrow's shaft. The moment she touched it, Xiao Nanya's muscles tensed. In an instant, Jiang Peihuan applied force and yanked it out. The barbed arrowhead took a chunk of flesh with it. Xiao Nani instinctively tried to move, but Jiang Changbai and Han Feng firmly held him in place. Observing the scene, Yi Xiao promptly doused the entire wound with the hemostatic medicine, and then pressed the gauze against it. Warm blood stained the gauze. Seeing this, Yi Xiao's expression changed. "Eldest miss, the bleeding isn't stopping." Hearing Yi Xiao's words, Jiang Peihuan quickly took out silver needles. Dozens of silver needles were deftly inserted into Xiao Nanya's chest, and shortly after, the bleeding stopped. Throughout the ordeal, Xiao Nani remained largely silent, looking as if he had been dragged from water. "Xiao Nani, one will now use silver needles to cure your poison. The procedure will be painful, but it's necessary. If you can't bear it, let me know." The man didn't utter a word but gave a slight nod in acknowledgement. "Han Feng, help your master to a sitting position." Upon Jiang Peihuan's command, Han Feng gently assisted Xiao Nani into a seated posture. Jiang Peihuan moved behind Xiao Nani, removed his upper attire, and began to place needles into his back. Her actions were efficient, and soon Xiao Nanya's back was filled with needles. Despite the intense pain, Xiao Nani bore it silently, only clenching his teeth. After some time, dark blood started oozing from the needle entry points. A groan escaped from Xiao Nanya's lips. Sweat streamed down his forehead. Jiang Peihuan took a cloth and carefully wiped the sweat from his face. An hour passed, and the blood that emerged from the needle sites had turned a brighter shade of red. Jiang Peihuan exhaled in relief before removing the needles. Witnessing the procedure, Han Feng inquired, "Eldest miss, has the master's poison been fully neutralized?" "Yes, only a negligible amount remains. He just needs rest and proper care now." "That's a relief." Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Han Feng's eyes were filled with excitement, and he looked at Jiang Peihuan with deep gratitude. Jiang Peihuan didn't look back at him, but turned to Xiao Nani, who was on the bed. "The rotten flesh on your wound needs to be removed. Can you endure it? If not, we can do it tomorrow." "It's fine. Do it." Xiao Nanya's voice was a little hoarse. Looking at the rotten flesh near his chest, Jiang Peihuan nodded. She then instructed Yi Xiao, "Prepare the dagger and ensure it's sterilized." "Understood." A moment later, Jian Peihuan took the dagger from Yi Xiao's hand. A moment later, Jiang Peihuan took the sterilized dagger from Yi Xiao's hand. Without any hesitation, she skillfully removed the rotten flesh from Xiao Nanya's chest, knowing that the longer she took, the more pain he would experience. Beads of sweat rolled down Xiao Nanya's forehead, and Jiang Peihuan was also sweating slightly. As she continued her operation, she observed Xiao Nanya's expression closely. After removing all the rotten flesh, Jiang Peihuan took some white liquor and poured it on the wound. Xiao Nani gripped the bedding tightly, the veins on his hand popping. Those present observed with a mixture of respect and admiration. "Bring me the medicine." Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's command, Yi Xiao quickly handed her the medicine. She carefully applied it to the wound, and then wrapped it with gauze. In the days ahead, ensure the wound remains dry and avoid any rigorous activity. She then offered, "Heres, a pill to aid your recovery." After assisting Xiao Nani with his bandage, Jiang Peihuan placed a pill into his mouth. Without inquiring about its composition, he complied. As soon as he took the medicine, Xiao Nani fell asleep. Seeing this, Han Feng, filled with concern, asked, "Eldest Miss Jiang, is my master all right?" "Don't worry. He just needs some good rest." As she spoke, Jiang Peihuan tried to stand but wavered a little. Jiang Changbai quickly steadied her, asking, "Huan Air, are you all right?" "I'm fine," she replied softly, shaking her head. "Come on, let's get you some rest. Elder brother, I've brought 100,000 caddies of food from the Liu family. Please ensure it's distributed to the soldiers." "Don't worry about it. I'll handle the arrangements. You need to rest." Jiang Peihuan was genuinely exhausted. Jiang Changbai escorted her to his tent. Only after ensuring that Jiang Peihuan had fallen asleep did Jiang Changbai leave the tent. Noticing Yi Xiao standing at the entrance, he murmured, "Stand guard here. Ensure no one disturbs Huan Air." "Yes, young master." Having given instructions to Yi Xiao, Jiang Changbai made his way to the military camp's entrance. There, the unloading of grain was still underway. The sight of the grain brought a gleam of happiness to Jiang Shangbai's eyes. However, as he observed, something seemed to cross his mind, introducing a shadow of complexity to his expression. In the capital city, within Prince Qing's mansion. "Your Highness, there's word from the front that King Cheng has been struck by an arrow. The situation appears dire." "Is this information reliable?" Upon hearing Pei Wu's words, Xiao Juanhao responded hastily, with excitement evident in his eyes. Pei Wu nodded, elaborating. "The message was directly conveyed by Meng Yi. I believe it to be accurate. The arrow is poisoned with a rare toxin from the western regions. Once infected, the wound will start to rot. Without an antidote within 6 hours, death is certain." Hearing this, Xiao Junhao's eyes were filled with excitement. After pausing for a moment, he turned to Pei Wu, inquiring, "Have there been any updates regarding Jiang Peihuan?" "Miss Jiang has already arrived in Jiangzhou. Based on the timeline, she should be at the military camp by now. Keep an eye on them and report any news immediately." "Your Highness, there's another matter concerning Miss Lin." "What about her?" Hearing the name Lin Mingyao, a hint of confusion appeared in Xiao Junhao's eyes. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Chapter 189. Blame. Miss Lin secretly sent someone to attack eldest Miss Jiang on the way. "You mean Yao Er?" Turning to look at Pei Wu, Xiao Junhao's eyes were full of surprise. Meeting his gaze, Pei Wu nodded. Originally, Pei Wu did not plan to tell Xiao Juanhao about this matter, but after thinking about it, he eventually spoke up. After Xiao Juanhao found out about this, he fell silent. After a long time, he turned to Pei Wu and said, "Go to the Lin mansion and invite her over." "Yes." After Lin Mengio's poison was neutralized, she went directly back to the Lin mansion. When she heard from Pei Wu that Xiao Juanhao wanted to see her, she hurried to Prince Qing's mansion. As always, Lin Mingyao walked straight into Xiao Junhao's study, but the man who was usually full of smiles now looked at her with a complex expression. Xiao Juanhao already knew. Lin Mingyao wanted to kill Jiang Peihuan. With this thought in mind, his gaze towards Lin Mingyao was filled with complexity. He seemed to have lost the desire for Jiang Peihuan's death. Instead, he wished for her to witness his success and reveal a regretful look. As for what he regretted, only Xiao Juanhao himself knew. "Your Highness, you called for me. Is there something wrong?" Lin Mingyao had been waiting for Xiao Juanhao to take the initiative to speak, but after waiting for a long time and seeing no signs of him doing so, she finally spoke. Hearing Lin Mengio's voice, Xiao Juanhao spoke directly. "One heard that you had someone attack Jiang Peihuan on the road." He spoke in a definitive tone, and Lin Mengio's eyes showed a hint of surprise upon hearing this. But then she looked at Xiao Juanhao with a bitter expression and asked, "Are you blaming me for acting on my own initiative, Your Highness?" Seeing the grievance in her eyes, Xiao Juanhao paused, then his face softened. He stood up, walked over to Lin Mingyao, gently held her hand and whispered, "I'm not blaming you, it's just what?" He couldn't articulate. Seeing the look in Xiao Junhao's eyes, Lin Mengio's heart skipped a beat. She looked at him and spoke directly. "Your Highness, You seem to be growing increasingly fond of Miss Jiang from the Jiang family? At these words, a hint of anger flashed in Xiao Junhao's eyes. He looked at Lin Mingyao and said coldly, "My interest in her is solely because of the Jiang family." Before Lin Mingyao could continue, he coldly added, "I will deal with Jiang Peihuan myself. In the future, do not act independently." Lin Mingyao was unwilling, but facing his emotionless expression, she still gently nodded, "Yes." Seeing her nod, Xiao Junhao's expression softened slightly. "Yao heir, after some time, one will go and ask Imperial Father to bestow a marriage," he assured her. "Don't worry, the position of Princess Consort of Qing's mansion can only be yours." "Yes, thank you, Your Highness." In the past, hearing these words would have filled Lin Mingyu's heart with joy, but now, she perceived them as Xiao Junhao's compensation to her, and suddenly her heart was devoid of happiness. "You should return to the mansion first. One will be busy for a while, and may not have time to accompany you." "I understand, official duties are important." "Then one will take my leave." Seeing Xiao Junhao nod, Lin Mingyao left his study. Her eyes were full of tenderness as she looked back one last time. But the moment she stepped out of Xiao Junhao's study, the warmth in her eyes vanished instantly, replaced by a cold, steely darkness. As for what was happening in the capital, Jiang Peihuan was completely unaware. For several consecutive days of traveling, Jiang Peihuan was completely exhausted. So when she lay down in Jiang Shangbai's tent, she immediately fell asleep. However, she was still worried about Xiao Nanyas' injuries, so after sleeping for over an hour, she opened her eyes. Jiang Changbai had not returned to his tent. Only Yi Xiao was at the door. Hearing the noise, Yi Xiao immediately lifted the curtain of the tent. Seeing Jiang Peihuan sitting up, she quickly approached. "Eldest miss, are you awake?" How is Xiao Nani?" Hearing Yi Xiao's voice, Jiang Peihuan nodded, and then whispered. Yi Xiao came over to help Jiang Peihuan with her coat and spoke softly. "There is Han Feng watching over His Highness, and we haven't heard any news. I think everything is fine. Oh, go take a look." As she spoke, Jiang Peihuan headed straight towards Xiao Nanyas' tent. Han Feng was guarding the entrance of Xiao Nanyas' tent, resting with his eyes closed. Hearing the sound, he immediately opened his eyes. Seeing that the visitor was Jiang Peihuan, he unconsciously smiled. "Eldest miss, why are you here? Are you here to see the master? Please go in." Before Jiang Peihuan could say anything, Han Feng spoke first, and then helped Jiang Peihuan lift the curtain. Nodding to him, Jiang Peihuan walked directly into the tent. Yi Xiao, who was following Jiang Peihuan, was about to enter, but was stopped by Han Feng grabbing her wrist. Seeing his action, Yi Xiao's eyes were full of confusion. Meeting her gaze, Han Feng whispered, "The eldest miss rarely comes here, let her have some quality time with the master. Don't go stirring the pot." Hearing this, Yi Xiao's eyes were speechless, but she didn't proceed any further. Xiao Nani was still sleeping. Jiang Peihuan walked to the bedside and first checked the wound. Seeing no signs of infection, she let out a sigh of relief. Then, Jiang Peihuan reached out to hold the man's pulse. It must be said that Xiao Nanyas' physical condition was excellent, and his pulse was already very steady. Just as Jiang Peihuan was about to let go, her wrist was suddenly gripped tightly by the man. Jiang Peihuan instinctively looked at him, but saw that his eyes were still tightly closed. This was a completely subconscious reaction. Jiang Peihuan lightly struggled but couldn't break free. Sensing her struggle, the man not only did not let go, but instead increased his grip. If it were not for the man's steady breathing, Jiang Peihuan would have suspected that Xiao Nani had already awakened. Worried that she would wake Xiao Nani, Jiang Peihuan did not persist and complied, simply sitting down by the bed. Jiang Peihuan had woken up because she was worried about Xiao Nani. Now knowing that he was all right, her eyes were once again filled with drowsiness. At first, Jiang Peihuan could force herself to stay awake, but unknowingly she fell asleep leaning against the bed. Early morning. Huan air. Jiang Changbai went to his tent early in the morning, but when he lifted the tent, he found it empty and devoid of people. He walked up and touched the quilt on the bed. It was completely cool, indicating that someone had long since left. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Come. Chapter 190. Been there whole night. Stepping out of the tent, Jiang Changbai looked around and finally saw Yi Xiao at the entrance of Xiao Nanya's tent. Seeing her, Jiang Changbai hurriedly asked, Yi Xiao, where is Luan Air? Hearing Jiang Shangbai's words, Yi Xiao subconsciously looked at the tent behind her. Following her gaze, Jiang Changbai couldn't help but ask, is Huan Air inside? Eldest Miss was worried about His Highness' injuries, so she came over. Has she been there all night? Yi Xiao did not say anything but nodded. Seeing her nod, Jiang Shangbai's face changed immediately. Although the two were already engaged, and although Xiao Nani was injured and couldn't actually do anything to Jiang Peihuan, and although Xiao Nani often visited the Palm Garden at night when he was in the capital, still, Jiang Changbai walked forward with rage in his eyes. As he prepared to lift the curtain, Han Feng stopped him. What are you doing? Move aside. Young general, my master is still injured. Please come back later. Han Feng's eyes were full of appeasement, but Jiang Changbai ignored him completely. Thinking of Jiang Peihuan spending the whole night in Xiao Nanya's tent, he felt as if his heart was on fire. Move aside, or don't blame me for being impolite. Seeing that Jiang Changbai was really going to fight him, Han Feng hurriedly stepped aside. Master, I have tried my best. After Han Feng stepped aside, Jiang Changbai stepped forward and pulled open the curtain. However, the scene before him stunned him. Jiang Peihuan was lying on the bed with a blanket covering her body. Xiao Nani was sitting on a chair at the side, only wearing a coat. Hearing the noise, Xiao Nani immediately opened his eyes. Seeing that Jiang Changbai was about to speak, Xiao Nani immediately gave him a warning look. Seeing the man's expression, Jiang Changbai subconsciously shut his mouth. Xiao Nani glanced at the person on the bed. His eyes were filled with gentleness. He gently placed Jiang Peihuan's exposed hand under the blanket, and only then did he walk out. With every step Xiao Nani took, he felt a sharp pain from his wounds, but the man was in a good mood. Last night, when he opened his eyes and saw Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani almost thought he was dreaming. Only when the pain from his injuries struck him did he realize that Jiang Peihuan had really come. He carefully moved Jiang Peihuan to the bed, and even then, she did not wake up, showing how truly exhausted she was. Your Highness, are your injuries all right? Jiang Changbai asked worriedly, looking at Xiao Nanya's retreating figure. Having witnessed that scene, Jiang Changbai had to admit that Xiao Nani had truly fallen for his sister. Hearing his words, Xiao Nani shook his head and softly said, It's fine, just some minor injuries. They will heal in a few days. With a few words, Xiao Nani sent Jiang Changbai away, and then walked back into the tent. Jiang Peihuan didn't wake up until much later in the morning. Huan Air, are you awake? Seeing Jiang Peihuan open her eyes, Xiao Nani immediately approached. Jiang Peihuan had slept for too long. If Yi Xiao had not repeatedly said that she was just too tired, Xiao Nani would have woken her up. Jiang Peihuan felt the softness under her, and realized that she was lying on Xiao Nanya's bed. She was stunned and looked at Xiao Nani. She couldn't help but say, One, remember that one came last night to check your wounds. How did one end up in bed? Huan Air, you've worked hard this time. The man didn't answer Jiang Peihuan's question directly, but instead looked at her warmly and said softly. Jiang Peihuan was stunned for a few seconds before she said softly, My father, mother, and brother are all military soldiers. These are all things that I should do. Master, the breakfast is here. As Xiao Nani was about to speak, he saw Han Feng walk in with the breakfast. It had been several days since he last tasted breakfast. Since Jiang Peihuan had brought food, they couldn't naturally let the soldiers go hungry any longer. Of course, that didn't mean they could eat whatever they desired. At this moment, what Han Feng brought in was nothing more than 2 bowls of plain porridge, a few steamed buns, and 2 small dishes. This simple meal was unique to Xiao Nani. No one else in the camp had such a breakfast. Han Feng placed the food on the table, bowed to Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan, and then left. Looking at the food on the table, Jiang Peihuan frowned. These foods had little nutrition, and were not conducive to Xiao Nanya's recovery. But they were currently in the military camp, and there was no other choice. However, Xiao Nani himself didn't mind. He picked up a steamed bun, and was just about to pass it to Jiang Peihuan when he suddenly froze. The wound was near his heart, and moving carelessly might exacerbate the injury. "Don't move, I can do it myself," she hurriedly said, seeing the man's frowning face. She then quickly took the steamed bun from his hand. Seeing that Xiao Nani was about to pick up the soup spoon, Jiang Peihuan held down his hand. Facing the man's puzzled expression, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "You shouldn't exert force now. I'll have Flan Feng feed you." As she said this, Jiang Peihuan was preparing to call Han Feng in, but Xiao Nani grabbed her hand and said, "No." The man's eyes were full of resistance. Seeing the expression in his eyes, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but frown. "If you do it yourself, it will affect your wound. Then you feed me." Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Xiao Nani unconsciously spoke out. As soon as his words fell, both of them were stunned. Xiao Nani was already prepared for Jiang Peihuan to refuse, but after a moment of silence, she picked up the porridge from the table, and then took the utensils. She first tested the temperature of the porridge with the back of her hand, before bringing it to the man's mouth. Watching Jiang Peihuan's actions, Xiao Nani's eyes were full of warmth. After a moment of silence, he finally opened his mouth. He had joined the army at a young age, and although Emperor Qi Ming had been very indulgent towards him, when he was seriously injured on the battlefield, he had always gritted his teeth and borne the pain alone. This was the first time someone had taken such thoughtful care of him. Seeing the man's fervent expression, Jiang Peihuan dared not look at him, and quickly fed him the porridge. After he finished eating, Jiang Peihuan picked up a steamed bun. The tent was very quiet but harmonious. However, this harmony was quickly broken by the sound of horns outside. The two exchanged glances and stepped out of the tent together. At this moment, Han Feng stepped forward. "Master, the people from the Chujiang mansion are challenging us outside." "I will go." Jiang Changbai emerged from his tent, dressed in military attire. Since Xiao Nani was injured, he was the natural choice to step out and fight in Xiao Nani's stead. But Jiang Changbai had only taken a few steps when Jiang Peihuan stopped him. "Elder brother, don't go yet," she said. Seeing that everyone was looking at her, Jiang Peihuan continued. "In the next few days, no matter how much the people from the Chujiang mansion boast and challenge us, we will not go out to fight. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool.com. Chapter 191. I'm going fishing. Anyway, our food supplies have already arrived, so even if we stay in the military camp for a few days, it won't affect us much. Huan do you have a plan?" Jiang Changbai has always known that his sister was exceptionally strategic, so upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, he subconsciously asks. Jiang Peihuan looked at the sky above her and then said softly, "There will be a storm in 3 days. At that time, big brother, you should take the initiative to attack, with General Lin leading the Flying Feather Army to strike from behind at King Chujiang's mansion." "Miss Jiang, how do you know that there will be rainstorm in 3 days?" Lin Xingqian, who had walked over, heard Jiang Peihuan's words and couldn't help but look up at the sky. At this moment, the sun was shining brightly, and it didn't look like it was going to rain at all. However, Jiang Peihuan remained silent and turned her eyes to Xiao Nani. Meeting her gaze, Xiao Nani spoke solemnly. "Follow Huan'er's plan. Xiao Nani has great prestige in the army, and when he speaks, no one dares to object." After settling everything, Jiang Peihuan whistled, and Lai Feng quickly ran over. Seeing Jiang Peihuan mount her horse, Jiang Changbai hurriedly approached. "Huan, where are you going?" Xiao Nani had already been sent by Jiang Peihuan to rest in the tent, but Jiang Changbai and Lin Xingqian were still outside. Seeing that both of them were looking at her, Jiang Peihuan said softly, "I'm going fishing. Are you guys coming?" Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, both Jiang Changbai and Lin Xingqian showed surprised expressions. However, afterwards Jiang Peihuan, along with Jiang Changbai, Lin Xingqian, and Yi Xiao, headed towards the reservoir behind the mountain. Han Feng couldn't go because he had to stay and guard the camp gate, keeping an eye on the provocative stance of the King Chujiang mansion, 3 kilometers away from the main entrance of the military camp. "Your Highness, it seems that there is no movement on Xiao Nani's side?" The one who spoke was the deputy general beside King Chujiang. King Chujiang had been stabbed in the shoulder by Jiang Changbai, but the wound had already been dressed. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. So after his wound was dressed, he came to the main entrance of the military camp early in the morning. Unexpectedly, the people who actively engaged in battle yesterday were unresponsive today, no matter how they were insulted. Let's wait a bit longer. Hearing the deputy general's words, King Chujiang said softly. Subsequently, the two armies began a standoff. At this time, Jiang Peihuan had already ridden to the reservoir behind the military camp. This location was chosen by Xiao Nani. Since the reservoir is located behind the camp, they do not need to worry about the enemy attacking. Huan Air, this reservoir doesn't seem like it has any fish. Jiang Changbai got off his horse and looked at the green reservoir. Jiang Peihuan didn't respond, but was carefully searching around the edge of the reservoir. Yi Xiao, seeing her actions, asked softly, "Eldest miss, what are you looking for?" "I am checking to see if there is any matin grass," she replied. "Eldest miss, what is the use of this matin grass?" "The juice of this kind of grass is very attractive to fish and shrimp." As she spoke, Jiang Peihuan had already found 2 purple-green leaves of matin grass in a clump of weeds. Jiang Peihuan rubbed the matin grass to squeeze out the juice, and then threw it into the reservoir. A moment later, everyone saw ripples on the water surface, clearly indicating that fish were swimming over. Seeing this, everyone's eyes were filled with surprise. "There really are fish," said Jiang Changbai, his eyes full of smiles. Yi Xiao, who was standing next to Jiang Peihuan, quickly spoke up. "Eldest miss, let me catch the fish for you." "There's no need for you to do it," Jiang Peihuan replied, turning her gaze towards Jiang Changbai and Lin Xingqian. Meeting Jiang Peihuan's gaze, Jiang Changbai resignedly said, "This kind of thing is naturally for us men to do." As he spoke, Jiang Changbai had already taken off the cloak on his body. Then with a light tap of his toes, he crossed the surface of the water. When Jiang Changbai came back again, he was holding a fish as long as his arm. Lin Xingqian did the same. Afterward, Jiang Changbai and Lin Xingqian were responsible for catching fish, while Jiang Peihuan and Yi Xiao used the grass root to string the fish together. More than an hour later, there were already 2 piles of fish on the ground. Estimating that it would be enough for the soldiers in the camp to have fish soup, Jiang Peihuan looked at the 2 men in the water and said, "Elder brother, General Lin, that's enough. Don't catch any more." Leaping onto the shore, Jiang Changbai looked at Jiang Peihuan with puzzled eyes and asked, "Why not continue catching?" "There aren't many fish in this reservoir," Jiang Peihuan explained. "We have already caught a lot today. We shouldn't leave none behind." Saying this, Jiang Peihuan handed the string of fish in her hand to Jiang Changbai. Jiang Peihuan had intended to help carry the fish, but Lai Feng was very averse to the smell of fish and wouldn't allow her to put the fish on its back. With no other option, Jiang Peihuan smiled and handed the fish to Jiang Changbai, who was beside her. He reluctantly smiled, and as he was about to take it, Lin Xingqian reached out and said, "I'll take it." "Okay, then I'll leave it to you." After returning to the military camp, Jiang Peihuan had Jiang Changbai send the fish to the kitchen, but she also took one for herself. An hour later, Jiang Peihuan walked into Xiao Nanya's tent with a bowl of fish soup. When she entered, Xiao Nani was about to take his medicine. Seeing Jiang Peihuan, he smiled and said, "Huaner." Jiang Peihuan walked to the bedside and placed the fish soup on the table. Then she looked at Xiao Nani, but when she smelled the medicine she frowned. "This medicine?" Seeing Jiang Peihuan staring at the medicine in his hand, Xiao Nani looked puzzled. "Isn't this the conditioning medicine you had the military doctor prepare?" "Let me see." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Xiao Nani handed the medicine to her. As she took the medicine bowl from him, a soldier standing nearby suddenly made his move. He drew a dagger and aimed directly at Xiao Nani. Jiang Peihuan, who was sitting at the bedside, saw this and immediately threw the medicine bowl at the soldier, and drew her whip from her waist. Seeing Jiang Peihuan engage with the soldier, Xiao Nani instinctively wanted to help, but Jiang Peihuan stopped him sharply, "Don't intervene." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Xiao Nani looked displeased but didn't act further. Instead, he shouted towards the outside of the tent, "Is anyone there?" But at this moment, it was time to change shifts outside, and Han Feng and others did not want to disturb Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan, so they were not at the entrance. For a moment, no one noticed the fighting inside the tent. While Jiang Peihuan was fighting with the man, she realized that he was highly skilled, clearly a professional assassin. Miss Jiang, Your Highness, what is this? Lin Xingqian, hearing the sound of the struggle, hurriedly lifted the curtain of the tent. Just as Jian Peihuan was feeling a little tired, Lin Xingqian heard the sound of fighting and quickly opened the curtain. Seeing him, Xiao Nani immediately ordered, "Capture this man." Hearing Xiao Nani's command, Lin Xingqian quickly stepped forward. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Chapter 192. Taking care wholeheartedly. With Lin Xingqian's help, the soldier was quickly captured. But just as he was captured, Jiang Peihuan saw blood seeping from him, and he soon fell to the ground. Rushing forward, Jiang Peihuan found that he had taken a potent poison, which was hidden in his teeth. "Who is this?" Jiang Peihuan said. Her eyes filled with frustration as she looked at the man on the ground. Lin Xingqian did not expect this person to commit suicide. He frowned and said in a low voice, "I'll investigate it now." He was about to leave when he heard a voice from Xiao Nani behind him. "There's no need to investigate." Seeing the puzzled looks on Jiang Peihuan and Lin Xingqian's faces, Xiao Nani calmly announced, "He is a secret guard from the palace." With this simple sentence, Jiang Peihuan immediately understood who was behind this. "Drink the fish soup first," she suggested after a pause, turning her attention to the man on the bed. Upon seeing this, Lin Xingqian dragged the corpse out of the room. After he left, Jiang Peihuan began to feed Xiao Nani the soup. With her previous experience, she was very skilled this time. However, looking at the fish soup in his hands, Xiao Nani was very surprised. "Where did you get the fish?" "Caught it in the reservoir behind the camp," she replied. "Was that man sent by the great Empress Dowager?" Once Xiao Nani had finished his soup, Jiang Peihuan looked at him and softly asked this question. Xiao Nani didn't answer, but he nodded. "Why?" This was not the first time. Jiang Peihuan could not help but look at the man and ask. Although Xiao Nani was not the great Empress Dowager's biological son, Xiao Nani was very loyal to Emperor Qi Ming. Therefore, Jiang Peihuan could not understand why the great Empress Dowager would repeatedly send people to assassinate Xiao Nani, especially since he posed no threat to her. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, a shadow passed across Xiao Nani's eyes, but he still softly replied, "Huan Heir, I can't tell you about this matter yet." "So you do know why the great Empress Dowager wants to assassinate you," she deduced. "Yes," he acknowledged, meeting her eyes and nodding. Upon seeing this, Jiang Peihuan's expression changed, and after a long while, she softly asked, "Does the emperor know about this?" "The great Empress Dowager is always clean and decisive in her actions," he explained. "Furthermore, she is the emperor's biological mother." Even if Emperor Qi Ming really knew that the great Empress Dowager was behind the attempts on Xiao Nani's life, he wouldn't be able to do anything to her. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan fell silent. She didn't want to continue this topic and instead turned to the man on the bed and said, "For the next few days, one will stay in your tent to take care of you. Then I'll order someone to prepare another bed." An hour later, Han Feng ordered someone to carry a soft mattress into Xiao Nani's tent. Jiang Shengbai's eyes were filled with dissatisfaction when he saw the mattress. However, considering that Xiao Nani had just survived an assassination attempt not long ago, if he really drank the medicine, he would definitely die. At the thought of this, Jiang Changbai did not say anything in the end. Time swiftly passed, and soon it was the third day. "Huan Heir, are you sure it will rain today?" Although Jiang Changbai had always trusted his sister, and knew that Jiang Peihuan was never a person to make baseless claims, he still revealed a hint of doubt in his eyes when he looked up at the bright sun. Hearing Jiang Shengbai's words, Jiang Peihuan looked up at the sky. She squinted her eyes and then smiled, saying, "Elder brother, don't worry. It will start raining in less than an hour at most." Aside from Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani, who remained composed, the others looked up at the sky from time to time. For the past 3 days, the people from King Chujiang's mansion had been making clamors outside the military camp, but no matter how much they yelled, there was no response from Xiao Nani's side. As time passed, The words from those people became increasingly unbearable, and the soldiers on Xiao Nanya's side were feeling quite suppressed. An hour passed quickly. This time, not only Jiang Changbai but also Lin Xingqian were getting impatient. The two walked towards Xiao Nanya's tent. As they were lifting the curtain, they heard a clap of thunder. Soon after, big raindrops started falling. The sky that was clear just moments ago was instantly covered with dense clouds. The two looked at each other and saw surprise in each other's eyes. Inside the tent, Jiang Peihuan watched as Han Feng was helping Xiao Nani put on his armor, and couldn't help but frown slightly. Seeing Jiang Changbai and Lin Xingqian enter together, Jiang Peihuan turned her head towards them. "Huan Air, you really are magical." "It actually started raining," Jiang Changbai exclaimed. "The rain will get heavier tonight," Jiang Peihuan replied. "Elder brother, victory or defeat will be determined tonight. If we succeed tonight, we can return to the capital soon," she continued. "I understand," Jiang Changbai said. "Your Highness, how are your injuries?" At this moment, Jiang Changbai noticed that Xiao Nani had changed into his military attire, and, considering Xiao Nanya's injuries, worry appeared in his eyes. But Xiao Nani casually said, "It's no big deal. Tonight, all of you are going to act, and I, as the commanding general, naturally have to show up. If one keep hiding, it will arouse the suspicions of King Chujiang. Elder brother, please arrange for dinner to be prepared." "We have a tough battle tonight," Jiang Peihuan said. "I will arrange it right away," Jiang Changbai replied. As Jiang Changbai instructed the cooks to prepare a full meal, he also passed down the military orders. When the people learned that they were going to fight tonight, their eyes were filled with excitement. When the sky was completely dark, Xiao Nani, accompanied by Han Feng, left the camp with Jiang Peihuan following beside him. Dressed in military attire, Jiang Peihuan appeared slender, but in the rain, she carried an inexplicably cold aura. "I will go first," Jiang Changbai said, leading the soldiers and stopping in front of King Chujiang's camp. As he looked toward Xiao Nani, the man nodded and then turned to Han Feng and ordered, "Beat the drums." The sound of drums in the rain was exceptionally sharp. Inside King Chujiang's tent, "Your Highness, Xiao Nani is leading his troops to attack," a soldier reported. Having been refused battle for 3 consecutive days, King Chujiang was very complacent. He had even decided to directly attack Xiao Nanya's camp at dawn. But hearing the soldiers' words, King Chujiang's eyes were filled with panic and surprise. He only reacted when he heard the sound of drums. "Bring me my armor," he ordered. Quickly, King Chujiang changed into his armor. When he emerged from his tent, Jiang Changbai had already led his soldiers into the camp. Seeing Jiang Changbai on horseback, King Chujiang's eyes were full of fury. "Jiang Changbai, today, I will ensure that your arrival here becomes a journey with no return." Considering that King Chujiang had recovered significantly from his injuries, he immediately charged forward as soon as he saw Jiang Changbai. Jiang Changbai didn't say much and immediately went all out to fight. Not far away, Jiang Peihuan sat on Lai Feng's back, closely watching the situation on Jiang Shangbai's side. This wasn't the first time Jiang Peihuan had seen her brother in combat. She had always known that her brother was a martial arts expert, but at this moment, her eyes still revealed a touch of pride. Follow current novels on Top Novelful.com. Chapter 193. King Chujiang's death. Looking at the sky, the rain was getting heavier and heavier. King Chujiang's military camp was already in chaos, with fighting noises everywhere. Xiao Nani sat on Jue Yun's back and watched everything quietly. At this moment, the sound of horse hooves came from afar. Seeing the man on the horse rushing into King Chujiang's tent, Jiang Peihuan's lips curled into a cold arc. "Your Highness, there is a trouble," someone cried. King Chujiang was fighting with Jiang Changbai. Hearing this, he subconsciously turned his head. In that instant, he was stabbed in the chest by Jiang Shangbai's sword. Then King Chujiang fell from his horse. Jiang Changbai stepped forward with his sword, but was stopped by the people beside King Chujiang. Ignoring the wound on his chest, King Chujiang looked directly at the man who arrived. "What happened?" "The mansion has been set on fire," was the reply. What did you say?" Hearing this, King Chujiang's eyes darkened. "Where's the prince?" King Chujiang, your son the Prince Chu, is here, someone announced. As King Chujiang's words fell, Lin Xingchen rode up on his horse. In his hands was a bloody head that King Chujiang recognized as his eldest son's at a glance. What have you done? King Chujiang stuttered. King Chujiang, surrender now, came a cold command. At this moment, Jiang Changbai raised his sword and aimed it at King Chujiang. Haha! Hearing Jiang Shangbai's words, King Chujiang laughed as if he had heard a hilarious joke, though his eyes were devoid of any mirth and filled with coldness. He looked at Jiang Changbai and said coldly, "Today, one will have you buried with me." As he spoke, King Chujiang suddenly revealed a crossbow in his hand, aiming it directly at Jiang Changbai. Seeing this, Jiang Paihuan's face changed drastically. "Elder brother, be careful," she warned. When Jiang Changbai heard the warning, he subconsciously dodged, but he was too close to King Chujiang to completely avoid the attack. At this moment, an arrow flew straight towards them, knocking the bolt from King Chujiang's crossbow out of the air. This arrow was shot by Xiao Nani. Still holding his bow and arrow, Xiao Nani shot a second arrow, aiming directly for King Chujiang's neck. King Chujiang's neck was pierced by Xiao Nani's arrow. The man rode his horse forward and chopped off King Chujiang's head. Holding the severed head in his hand, Xiao Nani spoke coldly, "King Chujiang is dead. Lay down your weapons and I will spare your lives. Otherwise, none shall be spared." The people of King Chujiang's mansion initially wanted to resist, but after hearing Xiao Nani's final words of "none shall be spared," everyone froze. One of them was the first to drop their weapon, and eventually all the soldiers laid down their arms. "I'll leave this to you guys," Xiao Nani said after glancing at Jiang Changbai and Lin Xingchen, before turning to Jiang Peihuan. "Huan let's return to the camp." "All right." Jiang Peihuan was still concerned about the man's injury. Those 2 arrows that Xiao Nani had just shot must have aggravated his wounds. But in front of so many people, Jiang Peihuan said nothing and just nodded. However, just as they were about to return to the camp, they saw a group of people rushing over. Hearing the sound, Xiao Nani instinctively shielded Jiang Peihuan behind him. But when the newcomer approached Xiao Nani, he immediately dismounted. "Greetings, Your Highness, King Cheng," the man kneeling on the ground said. He was dressed in brocade, but his expression was timid. Seeing him, Han Feng whispered into Xiao Nani's ear, "Master, this is the illegitimate son of King Chujiang, Jiang Cheng." "Jiang Cheng, are you aware that your father is already dead?" Xiao Nani spoke directly. Jiang Cheng, who was kneeling on the ground, had already seen the corpse at Chujiang's mansion. When he heard Xiao Nani's voice, he lowered his head and said in a low voice, "Father deserved what he did. However, Your Highness, our King Chujiang's mansion had no intention of rebellion. On behalf of King Chujiang's mansion, I am willing to surrender our land and titles. We only hope that His Majesty will spare the lives of the hundreds in our mansion." "You represent King Chujiang's mansion?" Hearing Jiang Cheng's words, a hint of surprise appeared in Xiao Nani's eyes. Hearing this, Jiang Cheng looked up, and after a moment he said firmly, "Yes, one can represent King Chujiang's mansion." "In that case, you will accompany me to return to the capital," Xiao Nani declared. "Yes, thank you, Your Highness." After saying this, Xiao Nani didn't look at Jiang Cheng anymore, and directly returned to the tent with Jiang Peihuan. As soon as they entered, Jiang Peihuan said to Han Feng, "Take off your master's clothes." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Han Feng was stunned. After a few seconds, he hurried forward. Seeing the cold look in Jiang Peihuan's eyes, Xiao Nani felt a little guilty. Looking at Jiang Peihuan, he said softly, "Huan I didn't, Before he could finish speaking, a sharp pain radiated from his chest wound, and Xiao Nani glared at Han Feng darkly. Sensing Xiao Nani's warning gaze, Han Feng said with a bitter face, "Master, the wound has stuck to the gauze." Jiang Peihuan initially wanted to ignore Xiao Nani, but hearing this, she couldn't help but step forward. Xiao Nani was wearing armor, so his wound had not touched water, but the wound had adhered to the gauze. After carefully examining it, Jiang Peihuan looked at Han Feng and coldly ordered, "Go prepare some white wine." "Yes." Han Feng felt relieved and hurried away. After he left, Xiao Nani tried to hold Jiang Peihuan's hand, but she immediately pushed it away. Ayu. Hearing the man's cries of pain, Jiang Peihuan showed some concern, but when she was held by him, her eyes revealed some anger. Huan I really didn't do it on purpose. Please don't be angry. I'm not angry, I just heartache. When applying medicine to Xiao Nani, Jiang Peihuan noticed that his body was full of scars, cuts from swords and knives. There were several just on his chest. Eldest miss, the white wine is here. At this moment, Han Feng lifted the curtain. Jiang Peihuan didn't say anything else. Instead, she took a clean handkerchief, dipped it in white wine, and then used it to moisten the gauze on Xiao Nani's wound. Xiao Nani couldn't help but gasp sharply when the white wine touched his wound. But he didn't make a sound. After the gauze was wetted by the white wine, Jiang Peihuan carefully peeled the gauze that had stuck to the wound. Then she carefully sprinkled medicine on the wound. After dressing the wound, Jiang Peihuan didn't look at Xiao Nani. Instead, she looked at Han Feng. Han Feng had been standing quietly by the side. Seeing Jiang Peihuan suddenly looking at him, his heart trembled. This lady in military attire seemed colder than his master. Eldest miss, do you have any other orders? If Xiao Nani uses any more strength again, his right arm might be crippled. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Han Feng was stunned. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Come. Chapter 194. Finding Meng Yi a few seconds later, he looked firmly at Jiang Peihuan and said, Eldest miss, rest assured, from this moment on, one will make sure that the master does not exert any strength. In the time that followed, Han Feng stayed close to Xiao Nani, hardly leaving his side. After Jiang Peihuan treated Xiao Nani's wound, she left the man's tent directly. That night, Jiang Peihuan did not rest in Xiao Nani's tent. Until the next day, Xiao Nani had not seen Jiang Peihuan appear before him. Xiao Nani, who had waited all night, could not hold back any longer. What are you doing? Just as he reached the entrance of the tent, he saw Han Feng standing in front of him. Han Feng swallowed his saliva when he saw Xiao Nani's cold expression. Then he said softly, Master, one think you should rest well. If eldest miss finds out that you hurt yourself again, she will definitely be angry. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's name, the anger in Xiao Nani's eyes dissipated a little. However, when he spoke to Han Feng, the man's expression was still cold. You have learned to handle me well now. I wouldn't dare. Han Feng couldn't help but mutter, but when Xiao Nani looked over, he quickly shut his mouth. I injured my hand, not my leg. I'm going out for a walk. Hearing this, Han Feng did not stop Xiao Nani any further. Just as Xiao Nani stepped out of the tent, he saw a hurried Jiang Changbai. He quickly approached and asked, Where is Huan Isn't Huan in your tent? Seeing that Jiang Changbai was also puzzled, Xiao Nani frowned and proceeded to move forward. At this moment, Jiang Peihuan was accompanied by Lin Xingqian, after someone in Jiangzhou City. Eldest miss, it seems like the person went that way, but over there are the homes of common people, and it wouldn't be appropriate for us to go there. Yi Xiao looked at the urban area in front of her, frowning. Hearing her words, Jiang Peihuan said in a low voice, Let's go back first. After thinking for a moment, Jiang Peihuan turned to Yi Xiao and said, Arrange for people to keep watch at each intersection. If there is any movement, notify me immediately. Yes. Eldest miss, who were you chasing just now? It was someone under my father's command. After saying this, Jiang Peihuan said nothing more. Because King Chujiang was already dead, and King Chujiang's mansion was under Jiang Cheng's control, Jiang Peihuan decided to go into the city to buy some things. But as soon as she arrived in the city, she saw Meng Yi's figure. Jiang Peihuan did not know why Meng Yi would appear here, but she knew that there must be some conspiracy involved. However, as Jiang Peihuan pursued, Meng Yi disappeared. Having been in the army for many years, Meng Yi was agile. That's why Jiang Peihuan had Yi Xiao call for Lin Xingqian, but they still lost him. Jiang Peihuan was not in the mood for shopping. After instructing Yi Xiao, she returned to the military camp. When she reached the entrance of the camp, she saw that Jiang Changbai and Xiao Nani were preparing to go out. Where have you been, Huan Seeing Jiang Peihuan, Jiang Shengbai's eyes were filled with worry. Xiao Nani, on the other hand, subconsciously looked over Jiang Peihuan. and upon seeing that she wasn't injured, he finally let out a sigh of relief. Seeing the worry in everyone's eyes, Jiang Peihuan softly said, "I'm fine." Then Jiang Peihuan entered Xiao Nanya's tent, and Jiang Changbai followed her in. After sitting down, Jiang Peihuan turned to Jiang Changbai and said, "Elder brother, I saw Uncle Meng. Why is he here?" Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Jiang Shangbai's eyes were full of surprise. "The person you are talking about is Meng Yi?" Xiao Nani already knew about the conflict between Meng Yi and the Jiang family, so he whispered when he heard the conversation between the siblings. Hearing Xiao Nanya's words, Jiang Peihuan nodded. Then Jiang Peihuan continued, "Elder brother, I don't know why Uncle Meng came here, but he must have some kind of plot. We have to find him. But Jiangzhou City is neither too big nor too small. Where are we going to look?" Jiang Peihuan didn't say anything and looked at Xiao Nani. Meeting Jiang Peihuan's gaze, Xiao Nani promptly said, "Are you thinking of asking Jiangcheng for help?" "Yes." Facing Xiao Nanya's gaze, Jiang Peihuan replied, "The Chujiang royal mansion has been in Jiangzhou for many years, almost as if it's the local emperor. As long as he helps, we will definitely find Meng Yi." "Hanfeng." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Xiao Nani immediately shouted to the outside of the tent. Just as Xiao Nanya's voice fell, Hanfeng walked in. "Master, go and call Jiangcheng. Tell him that one has something to discuss with him." "Yes." An hour later, Jiangcheng was brought to Xiao Nanya's camp. When he heard that Xiao Nani wanted to see him, his eyes were full of panic. Seeing Xiao Nani sitting in the main seat, he hurriedly stepped forward to pay his respects. "Greetings, Your Highness." "Jiangcheng, I called you here today because I have a few questions for you. If Your Highness has any questions, feel free to ask. I will definitely tell you everything I know." "Do you know Meng Yi?" Hearing Xiao Nanya's question, Jiangcheng's eyes showed a trace of confusion and doubt. Jiang Peihuan's gaze was fixed on Jiangcheng's face. Seeing that his expression didn't seem to be fake, she gently said, "Young Master Jiang, one wonder if anyone has come from the capital to look for King Chujiang recently?" "Yes." Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's question, Jiangcheng fell silent. After thinking for a moment, he nodded. Seeing his nod, both Jiang Peihuan and Jiang Shangbai's eyes showed a trace of joy. She subconsciously asked, "Young Master Jiang, do you know who came, and what their purpose was in seeking King Chujiang?" "I don't know who the visitor is. I only heard that he came to seek cooperation with my father." At this point, Jiang Peihuan was even more certain that the visitor was Meng Yi. As for who would cooperate with King Chujiang, she could more or less guess. Turning to Jiangcheng, Jiang Peihuan continued, "Young Master Jiang, could I ask for your help?" "Eldest Miss Jiang, if you need anything, just tell me." Jiangcheng already knew that Jiang Peihuan was to be Xiao Nanya's future queen, so he was very courteous to her. Jiang Peihuan looked at Jiangcheng and simply explained her plan to find Meng Yi. Hearing her words, Jiangcheng nodded. "Rest assured, eldest Miss Jiang, one will cooperate fully." Inside Jiangzhou City, in a farmhouse, Meng Yi sat in a chair in the house, his eyes full of anxiety. The homeowner, a middle-aged man, saw Meng Yi's anxious demeanor and whispered, "General Meng, the city is now full of people looking for you. You can't go out for the time being." Hearing the man's words, Meng Yi's eyes were filled with unhappiness, but he nodded. "I know. I'm just worried that if Jiang Peihuan and Jiang Changbai find me here in Jiangzhou, it will surely cause trouble. With so many residents in this city, even if they search house by house, it will take a long time. I believe they won't find me here." Knock knock. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Come. Chapter 195. Plan. As soon as the man finished speaking, there was a knock on the door. Upon hearing this sound, both Meng Yi and the man's eyes showed a hint of panic and unease. After exchanging a glance, the farmer asked in a questioning tone, "Who is it?" "Uncle Li, it's me," came the reply. After a moment of silence, the person outside spoke again in a low voice. Hearing this voice, the farmer, known as Uncle Li, sighed in relief, but Meng Yi's eyes still showed a hint of caution. When the farmer went to open the door, Meng Yi quickly hid behind a nearby tree. Meng Yi only walked out when he saw that the man was not followed by anyone. Li San, why are you here at this time? He asked. Li San was the nephew of the farmer. Both of them were Xiao Junhao's men, but they had been arranged to stay here by the Qing mansion a long time ago. Hearing his uncle's words, Li San spoke softly. Everyone in the city is now searching for General Meng everywhere. We need to find a way to get General Meng out. Of course we have to get him out, but how can we do it under these circumstances? Uncle Li replied. Hearing his uncle's words, Li San lowered his head and said softly, I have an idea. What idea? Before Uncle Li could say anything, Meng Yi could not help but speak. Although he still felt a bit panicked, considering the predicament he was currently in, he was somewhat worried. Looking at Meng Yi, Li San whispered, General Meng, tomorrow night I have to transport a cart of fruit to the outskirts of the city. At that time, you can hide in my cart. I will conceal you among the fruit. You will be safe. Are you sure it will work? Meng Yi asked. Please rest assured, General Meng, it will work, Li San assured. Seeing that Li San was very confident, Meng Yi nodded his head in agreement. After everything was arranged, Li San then turned to Uncle Li and said, Uncle, I'll go back first. I'll come back to pick up General Meng tomorrow. All right, be careful on the road, Uncle Li responded. Li San nodded, then turned to Meng Yi and gave a bow before leaving. After Li San left, he walked a distance before heading in the direction of the King Chujiang mansion. In the military camp, Jiang Peihuan was changing the bandages for Xiao Nani when she saw Jiang Changbai lift the curtain. Seeing Jiang Peihuan tending to Xiao Nani's wounds, Jiang Changbai remained silent. Only after she had finished everything, did he turn to Jiang Peihuan and say, Huan there is news. Meeting Jiang Peihuan's gaze, Jiang Changbai said softly, a message has just come from King Chujiang's mansion, saying that they have found Uncle Meng's hiding place. But Huan why won't you let me go to find him right now? Elder brother, going now would be akin to alerting the enemy, she replied. I want him to reveal himself voluntarily. After saying this, Jiang Peihuan continued, Elder brother, let's go together tomorrow night. We must not let him escape. In her previous life, the entire Jiang family had been exterminated. The person Jiang Peihuan hated the most was Xiao Juanhao, and the second most hated would be Meng Yi. Meng Yi was originally just an ordinary person. It was only because of Jiang Hong's guidance that he rose to his current position. However, not only did Meng Yi not feel any gratitude towards Jiang Hong, but he also schemed against him in every way possible, especially when he had poisoned Jiang Changbai in the Northern Territory. In her past life, Jiang Changbai was directly poisoned to death. Jiang Hong and his wife were devastated by this incident. Thinking about these things, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but wish she could kill Meng Yi immediately. The next evening, after arranging everything, Jiang Peihuan and Jiang Changbai left the military camp. However, they saw Xiao Nani following behind them. Seeing him, there was a hint of helplessness in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. Your wounds are still. I'm just coming with you and won't do anything that would strain my injuries, Xiao Nani softly interrupted before she could finish speaking. Hearing this, the speechlessness in Jiang Peihuan's eyes deepened, but she didn't say anything. She just turned her gaze to Han Feng. Meeting Jiang Peihuan's eyes, Han Feng's eyes were full of frustration, but under the pressure he still said, Eldest A/Is, rest assured, I will definitely take good care of the A/Laster. Outside of Jiang City, Meng Yi was hiding inside a fruit cart. Seeing that everything was quiet along the way, he couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief, a trace of satisfaction appearing in his eyes. However, seeing that Li San continued to move forward, he whispered, That's enough, let me down here, and you should hurry back. General Meng, there's no need to rush, Li San replied with a smile. Because it was dark, Meng Yi didn't see the inexplicable mockery in Li San's eyes. Just as Meng Yi was about to speak, he heard the sound of horse hooves. He subconsciously turned around and saw Jiang Changbai on horseback. Meng Yi prepared to flee, but Jiang Changbai spurred his horse forward. Looking at Meng Yi, who was attempting to get up, he said with a mocking smile, Uncle Meng, where are you planning to go? Seeing Jiang Changbai on the horse, Meng Yi's eyes were filled with mixed emotions. After a moment of silence, he suddenly drew his large sword. Meng Yi swung directly at Jiang Changbai, but his wrist was suddenly hit with a sharp pain. It turned out that Jiang Peihuan, who was rushing over, had seen this scene. She quickly drew the long whip from her waist, flicked her wrist, and lashed it towards Meng Yi's wrist. In pain, Meng Yi turned his head and saw Jiang Peihuan approaching. "You," he began. Without saying more, Jiang Peihuan gently patted her horse, leapt into the air, and her whip lashed directly towards Meng Yi's face. Seeing this, Meng Yi hurriedly raised his large sword to defend himself. Having served in the army for many years, Meng Yi was skilled in martial arts. Seeing the situation, Jiang Changbai, worried that Jiang Peihuan might be at a disadvantage, quickly stepped forward to assist her. For a time, the three of them were embroiled in a fierce fight. Han Feng, who was beside Xiao Nani, couldn't help but say, "Master, it seems that the eldest miss and young Master Jiang won't be able to subdue this old man anytime soon." Xiao Nani gave Han Feng a cold glance without speaking, his focus entirely on Jiang Peihuan. At first, Meng Yi, fighting against two, managed to hold his ground. But Jiang Peihuan and Jiang Changbai, as siblings, coordinated very well, so Meng Yi quickly found himself at a disadvantage. When Jiang Peihuan's whip wrapped around Meng Yi's wrist, Jiang Shangbai's sword thrust directly towards Meng Yi's shoulder. Moments later, Meng Yi fell to the ground. Looking at the gloomy eyes of Jiang Peihuan and Jiang Changbai, Meng Yi laughed mockingly. "If you have the guts, kill me. Everyone in the court knows that I am under Jiang Hong's command. If I die here, your general's mansion will not get away with it." Hearing this, the anger in Jiang Peihuan's eyes actually dissipated. Seeing Jiang Changbai about to act, she stepped forward to stop him. "Elder brother, don't kill him. We shouldn't dirty our hands." Li San had already left, so Jiang Peihuan spoke without any restraint. Looking at Meng Yi, she coldly asked, "Why are you doing this? Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Com." Chapter 196. Capturing Meng Yi. Without waiting for Meng Yi to say anything, Jiang Peihuan continued, "My father has treated you generously, and your rank and reputation were earned through my father. You, shut up." Before Jiang Peihuan could finish speaking, Meng Yi coldly interrupted her. With darkened eyes, he glared at Jiang Peihuan and Jiang Changbai and bitterly said, "For all these years I've been serving under Jiang Hong. Although one have contributed significantly, I've always been picking up the leftovers that he didn't want. When it comes to military achievements, the entire Qi kingdom thinks of Jiang Hong. One clearly contributed as much as him, so why should I always be inferior to him?" Hearing Meng Yi's words, Jiang Changbai was stunned, but Jiang Peihuan's eyes remained calm. At this moment, a mocking laugh sounded from the side. It was from Xiao Nani. Seeing him, Meng Yi's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. He thought Xiao Nani had already died, but here he was, standing perfectly fine before him. "So just because you yourself are incompetent, you're jealous of the great general. Is this the reason you betrayed your master?" Xiao Nani's voice was not loud, but every word seemed like a slap to Meng Yi's face. He looked at Xiao Nani, his eyes full of resentment. Seeing the look in his eyes, Xiao Nani suddenly smiled. However, the disdain in his smile grew even stronger. "Let me ask you, if you were to lead the army alone, could you manage? Do you know how to arrange formations? Can you command? Can you mobilize and comfort your soldiers?" Without waiting for Meng Yi to reply, Xiao Nani continued. With every question from Xiao Nani, Meng Yi's face turned a shade darker. Xiao Nani's disdain was very obvious in his eyes. Looking at Meng Yi, he said softly, "You're just from a humble background, and even your martial skills were learned in the army. Without the great general's support, you'd forever be nothing but a foot soldier. Do you really think that war doesn't require brains? With a brain like yours, what can you do other than scheming against the people who trust you?" Xiao Nani's words were very harsh, but Meng Yi couldn't come up with a rebuttal. Jiang Peihuan and Jiang Changbai, who were standing on the side, were surprised by Xiao Nani's words, especially Jiang Peihuan. She didn't expect this man to have such a sharp side. "People like you don't deserve to live." As his words fell, Xiao Nani turned to Han Feng and commanded, "Kill him and feed him to the dogs." "Yes." Hearing Xiao Nani's voice, Han Feng immediately drew his dagger. He had never defied Xiao Nanyes' orders, so now, with dagger in hand, he was already moving towards Meng Yi. Seeing this scene, Meng Yi subconsciously tightened his grip on his sword. Noticing his movement, Xiao Nani mockingly spoke. What are you going to resist? I'll tell you the truth. Not only you. Even if I killed your entire family, the emperor wouldn't say a word to me. Do you believe it or not? Xiao Nanyes' words were arrogant and domineering, but Meng Yi knew it was the truth. If there was one person whom Emperor Qi Ming doted on most, it was certainly this younger brother of the emperor, Xiao Nani. At this time, Han Feng had already reached Meng Yi's side, but suddenly, a clear voice called out, "Wait!" Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Han Feng subconsciously stopped what he was doing. Jiang Peihuan did not look at Meng Yi but turned her eyes to Xiao Nani. Killing him this way will bring unnecessary trouble. Let's take him back to the capital, Jingdou, and let His Majesty deal with it. Fine, well, listen to Huan Er. When Xiao Nani looked at Jiang Peihuan, the coldness in his eyes instantly vanished, replaced entirely by warmth. Seeing Xiao Nanyes' sudden change of face, Jiang Changbai couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Han Feng, on the other hand, was already very accustomed to this scene. The few of them brought Meng Yi back to the camp. On the third day, Xiao Nani was preparing to return to the capital. Although the wounds on his body had not fully healed, they didn't affect his ability to ride a horse, so Jiang Peihuan didn't say anything. After all, King Chujiang was already dead, so it was logical to return to the capital. Since it had already been agreed to bring Jiangcheng back to the capital, he was there when the army set out. But beside Jiangcheng, there was an additional woman, the eldest illegitimate daughter of King Chujiang, and Jiangcheng's biological sister, Jiang Yan. When Jiang Peihuan saw Jiang Yan, her eyes revealed a hint of amazement. There were many daughters of noble families in the capital with outstanding appearances, but so far, Jiang Peihuan had not seen one who could compare to Jiang Yan. Seeing Jiang Yan's face, Jiang Peihuan suddenly understood why Jiangcheng had brought his sister with him. Greetings to King Cheng. Jiang Yan, upon seeing Xiao Nani, immediately stepped forward to pay her respects. Although Jiang Yan was extraordinarily beautiful, Xiao Nani only gave her a brief glance, then turned to Jiang Peihuan and said, Huan Er, my wounds have not yet healed. Will you accompany me in the carriage? In fact, Xiao Nani was already able to ride a horse, but he wanted to spend time alone with Jiang Peihuan, so he had Han Feng prepare a carriage. Jiang Peihuan initially wanted to refuse, but seeing the anticipation in the man's eyes, she nodded. Seeing her nod, Xiao Nanyes' eyes were full of smiles. He entered the carriage first, and then extended his hand to Jiang Peihuan. Holding the man's wrist, Jiang Peihuan climbed into the carriage. Standing next to Jiangcheng, Jiang Yan, watching this scene, had eyes full of surprise and complexity. After Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan had entered the carriage, Jiang Yan and Jiangcheng got into the one behind. Sister, are you really sure about this? After getting on the carriage, the smile on Jiangcheng's face disappeared. His eyes were filled with worry as he looked at Jiang Yan. Seeing the look in his eyes, Jiang Yan spoke softly. We do not know whether we will live or die on this journey to the capital. This face of mine has no other use. If it can bring you a sense of peace, I am willing. Sister, don't talk like that, Jiangcheng said, his eyes full of pain upon hearing Jiang Yan's words. He was King Chujiang's illegitimate son, and his mother had long been tormented to death by the Queen of Chujiang. If it weren't for Jiang Yan's care, he would have died long ago. Therefore, when he knew that Jiang Yan wanted to go back to the capital with him, Jiangcheng was very much opposed. Seeing how upset Jiangcheng was, Jiang Yan's eyes were filled with a smile and gentleness. She reached out and patted his shoulder. Jiang Yan said in a low voice, Our father is dead, but his affairs have caused the surrounding feudal lords to become restless. At this time, the emperor must want peace. Therefore, the emperor might spare our lives when we enter the capital. As she spoke, Jiang Yan brought up Xiao Nani and looked at Jiangcheng. Jiang Yan said in a low voice, One heard that King Qing is very favored by the emperor. If we could. Sister, don't even think about it, Jiangcheng interrupted, reaching out to cover her mouth before she could finish her sentence. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Come. Chapter 197. Returning to the capital a few seconds later, Jiang Yan helplessly looked at her brother and said, "What are you thinking? Do you think I want to have any relationship with King Cheng?" Seeing the confusion in Jiang Cheng's eyes, Jiang Yan whispered, "Just by seeing how King Cheng treats Miss Jiang of the Jiang family, one know that he has no interest in me." Thinking of Xiao Nanya's cold expression when he looked at her, a trace of disappointment appeared in Jiang Yan's eyes. Initially, when she came, she did harbor such thoughts, but upon seeing Xiao Nanya's care for Jiang Peihuan, she instantly let go of this idea. Upon hearing this, Jiang Cheng let out a sigh of relief. Looking at Jiang Yan, he lowered his voice and said, "Although I haven't had much contact with King Cheng, I can see that he is very attentive to Miss Jiang. That Miss Jiang is really fortunate," he added at this point. Envy filled Jiang Yan's eyes. While the Jiang siblings were discussing Jiang Peihuan, she also mentioned the two of them. Looking at the man beside her, Jiang Peihuan could not help but ask, "Jiang Cheng brought his sister to the capital this time. What do you think?" "He is just seeking a chance to survive," the man replied indifferently. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, the man spoke lightly. "That Miss Jiang Yan is indeed very beautiful. Perhaps things will take a turn. In terms of beauty, no one can compare to you in my eyes," the man said, unable to resist taking Jiang Peihuan's hand. Jiang Peihuan glared at him and tried to pull her hand back, but the man held on tightly. "Let go." Seeing that Jiang Peihuan was really getting angry, Xiao Nani finally released her hand. Soon news from Jiangzhou reached the capital. In the Prince Qing's mansion, Pei Wu rushed into Xiao Junhao's study anxiously. Hearing his words, Xiao Junhao's face turned grim. "You said Prince Qing is fine?" "Yes." "Huh." Hearing Pei Wu's words, Xiao Junhao's eyes revealed a touch of mockery and complexity. "Your Highness, there's one more thing that you need to prepare early." "What else?" "Meng Yi has been found and is on his way back. If he is brought before the emperor, it's uncertain whether you will be implicated or not." "Worthless." After a long silence, Xiao Juanhao said gloomily. In the early years, he had drawn Meng Yi to his side simply because Meng Yi had always been by Jiang Hong's side. But now, Xiao Juanhao realized that without Jiang Hong, Meng Yi was useless. Pei Wu stood aside and said nothing. After Xiao Juanhao finished cursing, Pei Wu whispered, "Your Highness, we have to decide this matter as soon as possible. Otherwise, when they arrive in the capital, it will be too late. You will personally handle this matter. Tell him to keep his mouth shut, and say that I will find a way to save him. No matter what, clam him down first." "Yes." Pei Wu left after bowing to Xiao Juanhao. Xiao Nani brought Jiang Peihuan into the city. Instead of going to the palace, Jiang Peihuan went straight back to the Jiang mansion. After all, she had already drawn attention by delivering the grain. If a woman like her appeared in the court at this time, she would probably incur the displeasure of many people. Huan Air. As Jiang Peihuan walked to the entrance of the general's mansion with Yi Xiao, she saw a group of people waiting at the entrance. At the forefront was old Madame Jiang. Seeing the old madam standing at the entrance, Jiang Peihuan quickly approached and said, "Grandmother, why did you come out?" In the past, even when Jiang Hong returned from a military campaign, the old madam rarely came out to welcome him. Therefore, when she saw old Madame Jiang waiting at the entrance, Jiang Peihuan's eyes were filled with gratitude. Old Madame Jiang held Jiang Peihuan's hand tightly and looked at her carefully. Then she said softly, "It's good that you're back. Grandmother was really worried when you weren't around." "I made grandmother worry. It's all Huan Air's fault." "Don't say such things. It's good that you are back. You just returned and must be tired. Go and rest for a while, and we'll dine together at my place in the evening." "Yes, grandmother." In fact, Jiang Peihuan did not feel very tired. After all, she was in a carriage on her way back. But hearing old Madame Jiang's words, she still nodded gently. After Jiang Peihuan bowed to everyone in the Jiang family, she returned to her own plum garden. Upon arriving at Plum Garden, Jiang Peihuan turned to Yi Xiao and said, "Keep an eye on the palace and inform me of any news. I want to know how the emperor will deal with Meng Yi." "Yes." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Yi Xiao immediately left the plum garden. The Imperial Palace, Qianqing Hall. Who sent you to Jiangzhou? Looking at Meng Yi, who was bound tightly, Emperor Qi Ming asked with darkened eyes. Standing below, Xiao Juanhao clenched his fists when he saw this scene. Meng Yi's gaze swept across Xiao Juanhao, and then he replied softly, Your Majesty, I went there by myself. No one ordered me. Why have I heard that you have been frequently visiting the Prince Qing mansion recently? At this moment, Xiao Nani, who was sitting on the chair, spoke calmly. At his words, everyone turned to look at Xiao Juanhao. And upon hearing this, Xiao Junhao's heart tightened. He hadn't expected that Xiao Nani would know about Meng Yi's frequent visits to his mansion, as he thought that no one knew. Emperor Qi Ming hated it when princes and his ministers got close, so when he heard Xiao Nanya's words, he looked coldly at Xiao Juanhao. Prince Qing, is this true? Denial was no longer an option. After a moment of thought, Xiao Juanhao nodded. Imperial father, it is true. However, one invited General Meng into the mansion only because I wanted him to teach me martial arts. Everyone saw through this clumsy excuse immediately, and their eyes revealed mockery. Imperial father, to my knowledge, my imperial uncle also frequently visits the general's mansion. Hearing Xiao Junhao's words, Emperor Qi Ming turned his gaze towards Xiao Nani. Xiao Nani remained seated, not changing his posture. When he met Emperor Qi Ming's gaze, he nodded directly. That's right. I often go to the general's mansion. I'm about to get married with the eldest miss of the Jiang family. Can't one go and see my future wife? Prince Qing, you claim that you invited Meng Yi to your mansion to teach you martial arts. Yet, I have heard that he spent a long time in your mansion the night before he left for Jiangzhou. Are you sure you had nothing to do with this? Imperial uncle, what do you mean by this? Are you suspecting that I sent General Meng to Jiangzhou? What benefit would that bring me? I don't know what benefit it would bring to Prince Qing, but I am very clear about the harm it could bring to me. Imperial uncle, how can you be so suspicious of me? Your Majesty, someone from the King Chujiang mansion seeks an audience. At this moment, Wang Kuan walked in front of Emperor Qi Ming. Upon hearing the words King Chujiang's mansion, Emperor Qi Ming's eyes revealed a hint of malice. The heads of King Chujiang and his son were right there in the box next to him. Seeing this, Emperor Qi Ming's expression eased slightly. He glanced at Wang Kuan and said calmly, Let them in. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Come. Chapter 198. Bestowed marriage. A moment later, Wang Kuan led Jiang Cheng and Jiang Yan into the grand hall. When everyone saw Jiang Yan, their eyes revealed some surprise, including Emperor Qi Ming. However, when he saw the two heads on the ground, he still said coldly, So, you two are the illegitimate son and daughter of King Chujiang? We pay our respects to your Majesty. Jiang Cheng and Jiang Yan knelt down, and after they kowtowed to Emperor Qi Ming, they whispered, Your Majesty, our father, King Chujiang, has committed treason, and his household deserves severe punishment. But the hundreds of people in King Chujiang's mansion are innocent, as are the people of Jiangzhou. I beseech your Majesty for mercy. When he finished speaking, Jiang Cheng directly kowtowed to the ground. Although Emperor Qi Ming's eyes were filled with gloominess, when he heard Jiang Cheng's words, the expression in his eyes softened. He looked at Jiang Cheng and said calmly, You are unlike your father. At this, Jiang Cheng didn't dare to respond. Seeing that you took the initiative to surrender, I can pardon the remaining people of King Chujiang Mansion. But from today, the King Chujiang Mansion must relinquish its military power in its territory, and all taxes will be increased by 20%. Do you have any objections? Your servant obeys your Majesty's decree. One, thank your Majesty. Upon hearing Emperor Qi Ming's words, Jiang Cheng quickly kowtowed. Jiangzhou was a vast coastal region, and increasing taxes by 20% was not significant for the area. As for military power in the territory, Jiang Cheng had long given up on such thoughts. At this time, Jiang Cheng turned to look at Jiang Yan beside him. Recalling her advice on their way there, Jiang Cheng took the initiative to speak. Your Majesty, there is a favor I would like to ask. What is it? Speak, said the emperor. Perhaps it was because Jiang Cheng was very tactful, So Emperor Qi Ming's attitude was still quite amicable at this moment. Jiang Cheng glanced at Jiang Yan, and then looked at Emperor Qi Ming and said, "Your Majesty, my elder sister has always admired the splendor of the capital. Therefore, she wishes to marry into the capital. I beseech your Majesty to grant her a marriage." Hearing this, Emperor Qi Ming's gaze landed on Jiang Yan. For some unknown reason, Emperor Qi Ming then glanced at Xiao Juanhao. Feeling the emperor's gaze on him, Xiao Junhao's heart skipped a beat. Just as he was about to speak, he heard Emperor Qi Ming's voice. "In that case, one will bestow a marriage for Miss Jiang to Prince Qing, making her his main consort." Imperial father? Emperor Qi Ming's voice was not loud, but it reached the ears of everyone in the grand hall. Upon hearing the emperor's words, Xiao Junhao's face changed completely. His eyes were filled with resistance and unwillingness. But when Emperor Qi Ming heard his voice, he looked at him calmly and asked, "Are you dissatisfied with my decree?" "I dare not." "Thank you, Imperial Father." Xiao Juanhao clenched his fists tightly. After a few seconds of silence, he smiled and kowtowed to Emperor Qi Ming. Jiang Yan was also stunned by Emperor Qi Ming's arrangement. She had always been proud of her beauty, and thought that Emperor Qi Ming would take her into the palace. She did not expect the emperor to directly bestow her to Prince Qing. Subconsciously, Jiang Yan looked towards Xiao Juanhao. She had inquired about the emperor's sons before coming here, and it seemed that this Prince Qing was not favored by Emperor Qi Ming. But at this moment, she had no other choice. At this moment, Emperor Qi Ming smiled and looked at Jiang Yan. "Miss Jiang, one will bestow you with the marriage of Prince Qing as his main consort. What are your thoughts?" "Your servant daughter is thankful, Your Majesty," Jiang Yan replied quickly, kneeling to pay her respects. Everyone looked displeased except for Xiao Nani, who saw Xiao Junhao's dark expression, and a mocking smile appeared on his face. "Nani, what do you think of this marriage?" the emperor asked. "It is an excellent arrangement by Your Majesty only." "Only what?" At this moment, Xiao Nanya's gaze fell on Xiao Juanhao. Meeting his eyes, Xiao Nani said with a faint smile, "I have heard that Prince Qing and General Lin's legitimate daughter are very close. One wonder how Prince Qing will explain this to Miss Lin, now that Your Majesty has made this sudden decision." "Miss Lin of the Lin family?" Emperor Qi Ming looked towards Xiao Nani, a hint of puzzlement in his eyes. Xiao Junhao's face, however, had already turned uglier than words could describe. Emperor Qi Ming's gaze was now fixed on Xiao Juanhao. Looking at him, the emperor asked directly, "Is what your imperial uncle said true?" Xiao Juanhao was eager to deny it, but if he denied it today, it would be difficult for him to marry Lin Mingyao in the future, as that would be deceiving the emperor. His thoughts raced. After a moment of silence, Xiao Juanhao bowed deeply and said to Emperor Qi Ming, "Imperial Father, please forgive me. I am genuinely fond of eldest Miss Lin of the Lin family. Since that's the case, then one will bestow Miss Lin to you as a side consort." After thinking for a moment, Emperor Qi Ming continued, "In less than 2 months, your imperial uncle is set to marry Miss Jiang. Given this, let the Ministry of Rites handle both weddings. On that day, your main consort and side consort can both enter your mansion. Under normal circumstances, it is rare for the main consort and side consort to be welcomed into the household at the same time, but since Emperor Qi Ming had spoken, Xiao Juanhao had no choice but to obey. "Thank you, Imperial Father." Beside them, Jiang Yan remained silent, as if she hadn't heard the conversation at all. When Jiang Peihuan was mentioned, Emperor Qi Ming's eyes suddenly landed on Xiao Nani. "Speaking of which, this time I have to properly reward Jiang Hong's eldest daughter of the Jiang family. Wang Kuan, later go to the treasury room, and select some items to send to the General Jiang mansion." "Yes. Imperial brother, there's no need for Chief Wang to make a trip. I will take care of it," Xiao Nanyi said. "Also, Chief Wang may not know Huan Heir's preferences. Thus, I shall take on the responsibility of choosing the gifts." "Are you planning to empty my private treasury again?" "Imperial brother, that's such an unfair thing to say. When have I ever emptied your private treasury? I don't have the patience to argue with you." Hearing Xiao Nanya's words, Emperor Qiming glared at him irritably, but there wasn't a trace of real anger. Those who were present and witnessing this exchange had complex expressions in their eyes. Wang Kuan, go to the Lin family and deliver the decree. Yes. An hour later, Wang Kuan, with the imperial decree in hand, made his way to the Lin mansion. As the grand doors of the Lin mansion opened, everyone's faces were lit with brilliant smiles, especially Madame Lin. As long as Lin Mingyao married into the Qing mansion, she would become the true mistress of the household in the future. No one could humiliate her. Yao you're truly my good daughter, Madame Lin said, beaming as she looked at Lin Mingyao who was walking beside her. For some reason, Lin Mingyao had an inexplicable feeling of unease in her heart. But seeing that the person who came to deliver the decree was Wang Kuan, the chief eunuch at Emperor Qiming's side, she felt a bit more at ease. Lord Lin, Madame Lin, congratulations, Wang Kuan said with a smile, and then he unrolled the decree. By the Emperor's command, eldest Miss Lin is granted to Prince Qing as a side consort. Side consort? Lin Mingyao repeated, her voice trembling with surprise and confusion. Follow current novels on Top Novel.com. Chapter 199. Side consort. The Lin family's people were all smiling, but when they heard Wang Kun's words, everyone's face changed, and Lin Mingyao's smile froze instantly. She raised her head, abandoning her usual composure, and directly addressed Wang Kuan. Eunuch, could the decree have been announced incorrectly? Miss Lin, you must be joking. I wouldn't dare to commit such a serious crime. Wang Kuan replied with a smile. Although Wang Kun's face still held a trace of a smile, but there was no humor in his eyes. He looked at Lin Mingyao and spoke softly, Miss Lin, please accept the decree. Holding the imperial decree in Wang Kun's hands, Lin Mingyao felt as if she was about to collapse but still forced a smile. This servant obeys the decree. Eunuch, allow me to see you out. Lin Ruhai, who had many years of experience in officialdom, hurriedly approached as Wang Kuan was leaving. As Lin Ruhai saw Wang Kuan out, he subtly slipped a pouch into Wang Kun's hand. The pouch was light and weightless. Clearly, it was filled with silver notes. Lord Lin is too kind, said Wang Kuan, his face brightening as he pocketed the pouch. Stepping forward, Lin Ruhai lowered his voice and asked, Eunuch, could you give me some hint as to the reason behind this decree? Lord Lin, the main consort of Prince Qing is the daughter of the King Chujiang mansion, Wang Kuan replied. After saying this, he refused to say any more and walked away. Lin mansion. Heh. Just a mere concubine. They sugarcoat it as side consort, but isn't she still just a concubine? Yao what's going on? Upon hearing the decree, Lin Ruhai's other wives began to mock. Madame Lin dared not quarrel with them, and looked directly at Lin Mingyao. However, Lin Mingyao didn't look at anyone in the Lin mansion, and ran out. Yao Madame Lin's eyes were filled with anxiety as she watched Lin Mingyao's back. After leaving the Lin mansion, Lin Mingyao ran straight to Prince Qing's mansion. Miss Lin. As she arrived at the entrance, she saw Pei Wu. Seeing him, Lin Mingyao immediately asked, Is His Highness here? One need to see him. I will take you to him, replied Pei Wu. Thank you. Lin Mingyao followed Pei Wu to the door of Xiao Junhao's study. Lin Mingyao's eyes were filled with unwillingness, but she still knocked on the door. Come in. Hearing the voice from inside, Lin Mingyao pushed the door open and entered. Xiao Junhao was practicing calligraphy. Lin Mingyao approached and bowed to him, saying, Your Highness. Hearing Lin Mingyao's voice, the ink under Xiao Junhao's brush dripped onto the paper. He put down his brush and looked up at Lin Mingyao. Seeing the redness in her eyes, Xiao Junhao softly said, It seems you have already received Imperial Father's decree. Your Highness, please tell me what's going on. Why am I only a side consort? As she mentioned side consort, Lin Mingyao tightly clenched her fists. She had put all her heart and soul into this man just to take a gamble. But now, she was only a side consort. At this thought, tears rolled down from Lin Mingyao's eyes. Seeing her tears, Xiao Junhao rushed over, gently wiping them away with a handkerchief, and softly said, Yao 1 am sorry. But rest assured, one will compensate you in the future. Compensate? How will your highness compensate me? The one who bestowed you to me as the side consort was imperial father. I have no way of disobeying imperial father's decree, but in the future, when one ascend to that position, I will definitely reserve that most precious position to you. Xiao Junhao's voice was soft but clear. Lin Mingyao's eyes remained full of resentment, but the fiery red had subsided. Xiao Junhao reached out and hugged Lin Mingyao. He whispered into her ear, "Yao heir, trust me." His voice was somewhat choked. After a long silence, Lin Mingyao whispered back, "I trust your highness." Even if she didn't, she had no other options now. "I heard your main consort is the miss from the King Chujiang mansion?" "Yes." "I heard that she's very beautiful?" Xiao Junhao didn't answer. "General mansion. Plum garden. Eldest Miss Jiang is here." Yu heir announced. While engrossed in a book, Jiang Peihuan heard Yu heir's voice and put her book down. Shortly after, Jiang Peihuan saw Jiang Yan, who was accompanied by her maid, walk into the plum garden. Seeing her, Jiang Peihuan's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. Although they traveled together back from Jiangzhou, Jiang Peihuan had been sitting in the carriage with Xiao Nani, so she hadn't had much interaction with Jiang Yan. Hence, seeing Jiang Yan appearing in front of her now, Jiang Peihuan felt quite puzzled. "I've already been betrothed to Prince Qing as the main consort by the emperor," Jiang Yan said as she approached Jiang Peihuan, stating the matter directly. Upon hearing this, Jiang Peihuan's eyes widened in surprise. In her previous life, such an event had never occurred. However, at this moment, what Jiang Peihuan was thinking about was not Jiang Yan's marriage to Xiao Junhao, but rather Lin Mingyao. She was the white moonlight in Xiao Junhao's heart. In her previous life, it was because she had blocked the way. Jiang Peihuan thought that in this life, Lin Mingyao would definitely become Xiao Junhao's main consort. She didn't expect Jiang Yan to appear in this situation. Seeing Yuer place the tea in front of Jiang Yan, Jiang Peihuan said softly, "Did Miss Jiang specially come here today to inform me of this? If so, then one congratulate Miss Jiang." "Miss Jiang, do you know that the emperor not only grant me to the Prince Qing as his main consort, but also gave him a side consort?" Before Jiang Peihuan could respond, Jiang Yan continued, "The side consort of Prince Qing is none other than the eldest miss of the Lin family." Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan's heart skipped a beat, but she maintained her composure. She picked up the tea from the table, took a delicate sip, and then looked at Jiang Yan saying, "Miss Jiang Yan, please feel free to speak your mind." "I want to cooperate with you," said Miss Jiang Yan. Jiang Peihuan raised an eyebrow but remained silent. Seeing this, Jiang Yan continued, "They say the enemy of one's enemy is a friend. One know that the Jiang family and the Lin family have always been arch-enemies, so I think that at least regarding the matter of Miss Lin, you and I can be on the same page. I'm sorry, but one don't think I can work with Miss Jiang." Jiang Peihuan replied directly. Hearing this, Jiang Yan was visibly stunned. She looked at Jiang Peihuan and asked, "Why? Don't you really hate the people of the Lin family?" "I do indeed hate the people of the Lin family," Jiang Peihuan admitted, "but I hate Prince Qing even more." In her previous life, she naturally harbored resentment towards Lin Mingyao, but compared to Lin Mingyao, Xiao Junhao was the real villain. Seeing Jiang Yan staring at her wide-eyed, Jiang Peihuan didn't feel like explaining further. Looking at Jiang Yan, she calmly said, "Miss Jiang Yan, please leave." "Someone see the guest out," Jiang Peihuan ordered. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Come. Chapter 200. Meng Yi's suicide. Before Jiang Yan could finish speaking, Jiang Peihuan interrupted her directly. Meeting her puzzled gaze, Jiang Peihuan continued to speak. "Miss Jiang, I know you want to establish your own connections in the capital, but you shouldn't have come to me. Miss Jiang, please leave." Yu heir was waiting at the door. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, she immediately walked in. Jiang Yan still wanted to say something, but when she saw Jiang Peihuan's cold expression, she eventually turned around and left. When she walked out of the door, Jiang Yan saw a familiar figure. It was Xiao Nani. Jiang Yan's gaze was firmly fixed on Xiao Nani, but the man seemed to not see her, smiling warmly as he walked towards the plum garden. Huan Er. As he approached the entrance, Xiao Nani softly called. His voice was very gentle. Hearing this, a complex look appeared in Jiang Yan's eyes. She paused for a moment, but eventually left directly. Upon hearing Xiao Nanya's voice, some of the indifference in Jiang Paihuan's eyes dissipated. Although she appeared normal, Xiao Nani clearly sensed a change in her demeanor. Looking at Jiang Paihuan, who was sitting in the chair, the man softly asked, "What's the matter? Are you in a bad mood?" Jiang Peihuan did not expect Xiao Nani to be so sensitive. She thought about it and said softly, "Miss Jiang just came." Hearing this, Xiao Nani frowned. He sat down opposite Jiang Peihuan. As Yu Er was about to pour water for him, she saw the man pick up Jiang Peihuan's teacup and drain it in one gulp. Afterward, he poured himself a cup of tea. Seeing this, Yu Er walked away with a smile. She has already been granted to Prince Qing as the main consort by imperial brother, Xiao Nani said. "I know Miss Jiang just told me." "Oh right, this is a reward from my imperial brother." As he spoke, Xiao Nani glanced at Han Feng. The latter quickly stepped forward and placed a box in front of Jiang Peihuan. "Open it and see." Upon hearing Xiao Nanya's words, Jiang Peihuan gently opened the box before her. There were all kinds of jewelry inside, and every one of them was extraordinary. Seeing these items, a slight smile appeared in Jiang Paihuan's eyes. "Why would His Majesty bestow so many rewards to me?" "It's what you deserve. By the way, Meng Yi has already been imprisoned by the Emperor." Upon hearing Meng Yi's name, a cold look appeared in Jiang Paihuan's eyes. After thinking for a moment, she looked at Xiao Nani and said, "Didn't His Majesty interrogate Meng Yi?" "He has indeed been interrogated, but no matter what, Meng Yi refuses to speak, so," seeing Jiang Paihuan's expression turning grim, Xiao Nani softly said, "Don't worry, we will eventually find out everything Meng Yi has done." "I'm not worried." "At this moment, the ones who should be anxious aren't us," Jiang Peihuan replied softly. Hearing her words, Xiao Nani was slightly taken aback, but then he laughed and said, "Huan Er is right. The ones who should be anxious at this moment are not us." A faint, inexplicable mockery appeared in the man's smiling eyes. Prince Qing's mansion. Finally managing to calm Lin Mingyao, Xiao Junhao's eyes were filled with exhaustion after she left. At this moment, Pei Wu stepped forward and said, "Your Highness, Meng Yi is still in prison. What should we do?" Pei Wu made a gesture of slitting his throat, but Xiao Junhao shook his head. "Imperial father is already suspicious of me. At this time, if we kill Meng Yi, it will surely bring disaster upon us." "Then, Your Highness, do we still have to save Meng Yi? In this world, only the dead can keep secrets. We definitely can't let him out." A shadow crossed Xiao Junhao's eyes as he looked directly at Pei Wu. "You go to the prison personally and tell Meng Yi that the Prince Qing mansion will take care of his family." Hearing Xiao Junhao's words, a complex look appeared in Pei Wu's eyes, but he still nodded, "One understand." After bowing to Xiao Junhao, Pei Wu went straight to the prison. Being a guard close to Prince Qing, he entered the prison directly. "General Meng?" Inside the prison, Meng Yi, disheveled, lay on the straw, but he was still conscious. Hearing the voice, he quickly approached the cell door. Seeing Pei Wu, his eyes lit up. "Guard Pei, did His Highness send you to save me? Go back and tell His Highness that no matter how they interrogate me, I will not betray him. The loyalty of General Meng is well known to His Highness." "Then, General Meng, His Highness has a message for you." Before Meng Yi could finish speaking, Pei Wu interrupted him in a soft voice. Hearing Pei Wu's voice, a complex look crossed Meng Yi's eyes, but he still whispered, "What is it?" "His Highness said that he will take good care of your family." What did you say?" Meng Yi looked at Pei Wu, and his expression instantly changed. Seeming to realize something, he suddenly laughed. "Don't worry, I understand what His Highness means." Pei Wu didn't say anything more, but saluted Meng Yi. With a bitter and mocking smile on his face, Meng Yi watched Pei Wu's figure disappear around the corner before pulling a dagger from his sleeve. He aimed the dagger at his own heart and stabbed it directly. In his daze, Meng Yi seemed to see Jiang Hong. "Do you regret it?" When he heard the voice near his ear, Meng Yi realized that he was not dreaming. He turned his head and saw Jiang Hong, whose eyes were filled with complexity. Jiang Hong had intended to visit Meng Yi, but he did not expect to witness his suicide. Jiang Hong stepped forward and checked Meng Yi's wound, then waved to the people behind him. Never expected to see you before dying. Looking at Jiang Hong standing beside him, Meng Yi spoke mockingly. Do you have any last wishes? Jiang Hong remained silent until he saw that Meng Yi was barely breathing, then finally spoke. Upon hearing this, Meng Yi's eyes opened slightly but quickly dimmed. He shook his head weakly and whispered, I'm sorry. Meng Yi's voice was very faint, but it still reached Jiang Hong's ears. After saying this, Meng Yi closed his eyes. A jailer nearby stepped forward, checked, and then said to Jiang Hong, Great General, this man is dead. Jiang Hong glanced at Meng Yi on the ground, and finally looked at the jailer and said, Report to the Emperor. Yes. News of Meng Yi's suicide in prison spread quickly. When the news reached Jiang Paihuan's ears, her eyes flickered. You heir, come with me to Yanlin. Eldest miss, are you planning to return the command seal to the first madam? Looking at the commander's seal on the table, Yu heir asked softly. Jiang Peihuan didn't say anything but nodded. Holding the commander's seal, Jiang Peihuan took Yu heir and headed straight for Yanlin. But as soon as they arrived at the entrance, they heard the quarreling voices of Jiang Hong and his wife. I absolutely disagree with keeping them in the mansion, a voice insisted fiercely. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Come. Chapter 201. Meng Yi's child. It was Shui Yan's voice. Hearing the argument, Jiang Paihuan's eyes showed a hint of confusion. The relationship between the Jiang Hong couple had always been extremely good. Over so many years, they had hardly ever had any disagreements. Jiang Peihuan quickened her pace involuntarily. Father, mother, she called as she entered the main hall, bowing to both of them. Huan heir, why are you here? Seeing Jiang Peihuan, Shui Yan ceased her quarreling with Jiang Hong and turned to smile at her daughter. I came to return this command seal to mother, Peihuan replied. As she spoke, Jiang Peihuan handed the Flying Feathers Army command seal to Shui Yan. Seeing the command seal in her hand, Shui Yan softly said, Once given to you, this command seal is yours. Mother, you created the Flying Feathers Army, so it's better to keep it in your hands. If I need to use the Flying Feather Army in the future, one can always come to you for the command seal, Jiang Peihuan added. In that case, I will keep it for now, Shui Yan conceded. Hearing Jiang Paihuan's words, Shui Yan didn't say anything more, but took the command seal from her daughter's hand. After handing over the command seal, Jiang Peihuan turned to look at her parents and quietly asked, Father, mother, I just heard you're arguing. Has something happened at home? Huan heir, Meng Yi has committed suicide in prison, Jiang Hong revealed. Jiang Peihuan already knew about this news. She didn't say anything but continued to look at Jiang Hong, waiting for him to continue. Jiang Hong glanced at Shui Yan. Seeing that she didn't interrupt him, he continued. He left behind 2 children. One want to bring them back to our mansion and raise them. Father, since Meng Yi has committed suicide, what about Madame Meng? Jiang Peihuan asked, furrowing her brow upon hearing this. At this point, she finally understood why Shui Yan had been arguing with Jiang Hong. Back in the Northern Territory, Meng Yi had almost poisoned Jiang Changbai. Now Jiang Hong intended to raise Meng Yi's children in their mansion. And the more Shui Yan thought about it, the angrier she became. Seeing Jiang Paihuan's expression darken, Jiang Hong's voice dropped further. That woman has already run away. Madame Meng had taken all of the Meng family's property and fled, leaving behind her 2 children. I will absolutely not agree to raise those 2 children in our mansion. Have you forgotten what Meng Yi did? Shui Yan told Jiang Hong, her voice cold. Yan heir, I know that what Meng Yi did is unforgivable, but the children are innocent. We watch them grow up, and if we don't bring them home, they will be left with no one, Jiang Hong pleaded. Shui Yan's eyes still showed her disagreement, but thinking of the 2 children, she remained silent. Jiang Peihuan was aware of Meng Yi's 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy was now 8 years old, and the girl was only 3. After some thought, Jiang Peihuan looked at her parents and suggested, "Father, Mengyi was a member of Prince Qing's mansion. Now that he is dead, doesn't Prince Qing have anything to say? The royal family has always been heartless. Mengyi is already dead. How could Prince Qing care about the lives of those two children?" Jiang Hong responded, his eyes filled with a stormy darkness. She could not help but sigh in her heart. Jiang Peihuan looked at Shui Yan. "Mother, these two children are young. It's normal for father to be unwilling to see them homeless. How about this? Let's bring them into our mansion for now, and when they are a bit older, we can make other arrangements." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Jiang Hong's eyes brightened, and he quickly turned to look at Shui Yan. Faced with her husband and daughter's expressions, Shui Yan spoke grumpily. "You two are so soft-hearted, leaving me to play the villain." "That means you agree." Jiang Hong quickly stepped forward, took Shui Yan's hand gently and whispered, "Yan thank you." Seeing this scene before her, Jiang Peihuan smiled and turned to leave. Jiang Peihuan was extremely disgusted with Meng Yi, but his two children are innocent. Furthermore, Jiang Peihuan understood her father's character better than anyone. While it was true that Meng Yi had betrayed him, their many years of acquaintance were also a reality. After leaving Yanlin, Jiang Peihuan planned to return to her own garden. But halfway through, Jiang Peihuan saw Jian Mei, who was out for a walk. Jiang Mei's belly was already slightly protruding. She was supported by a maid with one hand and her stomach with the other. When she saw Jiang Peihuan, she stopped in her tracks. When their eyes met, both fell silent. In the end, it was Jian Mei who spoke first. "I heard that Uncle Meng is dead." "Yes," Jiang Peihuan nodded in response. Jiang Peihuan's gaze fell on Jian Mei's belly. Perhaps because of her pregnancy, her demeanor seemed much softer. After a glance, Jiang Peihuan gently said, "Now that you are pregnant, you need to take good care of yourself." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Jiang Mei was taken aback for a moment before softly saying, "Thank you. I thought you would hate me very much. After all, I approached the second master with an ulterior motive," Jian Mei added. "Regardless of your previous intentions, now you are carrying the child of the Jiang family. For this reason alone, the Jiang family will treat you well," Jiang Peihuan responded. "It's getting colder. If there's nothing else, you should go back to your courtyard and rest," she advised. After saying this, Jiang Peihuan headed straight back to her own palm garden. As she entered the courtyard, Jiang Peihuan noticed some fallen leaves. She wasn't sure if it was her imagination, but she felt a hint of winter in the air. "Eldest Miss, King Qing is here." Jiang Peihuan heard Lu Er's voice as soon as she stepped into the room. Walking up to her, Lu Er smiled and said, "Eldest Miss, His Highness King Cheng has gone to the old madam's chrysanthemum hall. The old madam has sent someone to invite you over." A moment later, Jiang Peihuan, accompanied by Yu Er and Lu Er, went to the old madam's chrysanthemum hall. When Jian Peihuan arrived, Xiao Nani was sitting and chatting with old Madam Jiang. "Old Madam, Eldest Miss is here," Nanny Su announced in a soft voice when she saw Jiang Peihuan. Everyone seated instinctively looked towards the entrance. Under everyone's gaze, Jiang Peihuan walked forward and bowed to old Madam Jiang before bowing to Xiao Nani. "Grandmother," she greeted. "Come and sit beside me." Seeing Jiang Peihuan, old Madam Jiang smiled and waved at her. Jiang Peihuan did not refuse and took 2 steps forward to sit next to her grandmother. "Eldest sister, His Highness King Cheng said that he wanted to bring us to the West Mountain to hunt. Grandmother has already agreed." Jiang Ruyan also sat down below the old madam. If it was before, seeing the old madam being so close to Jiang Peihuan, she would definitely feel uncomfortable and even jealous. But now when she saw this scene, she only felt admiration without any discomfort. Hearing Jiang Ruyan's words, Jiang Peihuan turned her eyes toward Xiao Nani. The man met her gaze and said softly, "This season is the perfect time for hunting. I've already told the Imperial Brother that one want to go to the West Mountain to hunt. And the Imperial Brother has agreed. West Mountain was the royal garden and the best hunting ground in the capital. Follow current novels on Top Novelful.com. Chapter 202. Set off for the West Mountain. Then when are we setting off? Jiang Peihuan didn't refuse, Instead she looked at Xiao Nani and asked, "I've already made arrangements. We can go over today," he replied. Listening to Xiao Nani and Jiang Paihuan's conversation, the smile in old Madame Jiang's eyes deepened. After Xiao Nani finished speaking, old Madame Jiang reached out and patted Jiang Paihuan's hand, saying, Go have some fun with your sister." "All right, then I'll hunt a good pelt for grandmother," Jiang Peihuan replied. Winter came early in the capital, and it was time to prepare for the cold. Hearing Jiang Paihuan's words, the smile in old Madame Jiang's eyes deepened. She nodded and then spoke warmly. "Good, I will wait for your pelt." After leaving the chrysanthemum hall, Jiang Peihuan looked at the man beside her and said, "I'm going to prepare a few things. I will go with you." Before Jiang Peihuan could finish her sentence, Xiao Nani softly interrupted her. Jiang Peihuan didn't say anything, just led Xiao Nani to the plum garden. Yu Er, her maid, was already packing things. Looking at the packed parcels, Jiang Peihuan gently said to Yu Er, "Come with me to the West Mountain for a few days." "Eldest Miss, you should take Yi Xiao and Lu Er with you. One will stay home and look after the mansion," Yu Er quietly replied. Jiang Peihuan had two maids, Yu Er, who was steady, and Lu Er, who was lively. Seeing Yu Er's insistence, Jiang Peihuan didn't say anything more. An hour later, Jiang Peihuan got into Xiao Nanya's carriage, followed by Jiang Rian's carriage. "I asked someone to buy this just now. Try it." As soon as Jiang Peihuan sat down, she saw Xiao Nani open the box of pastries on the table. Xiao Nanya's carriage was very spacious, with a low table in the middle covered with food. Jiang Peihuan took a pastry that Xiao Nani handed to her. She wasn't someone who cared much for food, but after taking a bite of the pastry, she had to admit that it tasted excellent. "How is it?" he asked softly after she swallowed. Seeing the expectant look in his eyes, Jiang Peihuan nodded and said, "It tastes very good." As she spoke, she picked up another piece and handed it to Xiao Nani, saying, "You should try it too." Accepting the pastry from Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nanya's eyes were full of smiles. After tasting it, he smiled and said, "Indeed, it tastes excellent." Han Feng, who was outside the carriage, couldn't help but twitch his mouth when he heard the voices inside. He distinctly remembered Xiao Nanya's disdainful expression when he had first presented these pastries. Throughout the journey, Xiao Nani was very attentive to Jiang Peihuan, serving her tea and water, so she didn't have to lift a finger. Despite his inner comments on his master's behavior, Han Feng noted that Xiao Nani seemed delighted with the situation. Seeing that Jiang Peihuan was about to put down her teacup, Xiao Nani preemptively reached out to take it from her. After placing the cup on the table, he turned to look at Jiang Peihuan's lovely face and said, "It takes 4 hours to reach West Mountain. You should rest for a bit, Huan Er." The carriage was very spacious, and Xiao Nani did not sit beside Jiang Peihuan, instead giving the main seat to her. Upon hearing Xiao Nanya's words, Jiang Peihuan softly asked, "I'm not tired. Are there any books in the carriage?" "Yes." As her words fell, Xiao Nani pushed the low table in front of him forward a little. Then a secret chamber was revealed. It was filled with all kinds of books. Jiang Peihuan glanced and noticed that there were various types of books, including medical ones. She reached out and picked up a book on regional miscellaneous studies. While Jiang Peihuan was reading, Xiao Nani didn't disturb her, but his eyes were fixed on her face. The man's gaze was very warm, and also carried an inexplicable sense of joy. At first, Jiang Peihuan wasn't used to it, but she gradually became quite comfortable. Jiang Peihuan calmly read her book, and Xiao Nani sat quietly beside her, occasionally refilling her tea. But this tranquility was soon broken. The carriage suddenly came to a stop, and due to inertia, Jiang Peihuan was thrown to one side. Subconsciously, Xiao Nani reached out and grabbed her shoulders. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Seeing that Jiang Peihuan didn't hit the wall of the carriage, Xiao Nanya's expression became better. However, when he looked outside, his eyes were filled with coldness. What happened? The curtain of the carriage was lifted instantly. Xiao Nani looked at Han Feng and said coldly, "It seems to be Prince Huainan," Han Feng replied. "However, it seems that they are here for the second Mississippi." At this point, Jiang Peihuan had already heard Chao Jun's voice. Prince Huainan, I hope you will behave yourself, he called out. Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani exchanged a glance, and they both stepped out of the carriage. Beside the carriage behind them, Zhao Fucking, leading a team of men on horses, appeared next to Jiang Ruyun. Because Jiang Ruyun and Jiang Peihuan came together to avoid embarrassment, she had brought Chao Jun with her. At this moment, seeing Zhao Fucking's arrival, Chao Jun immediately positioned himself protectively in front of Jiang Ruyun. Sitting on his horse and looking at Chao Jun who stood before him, Zhao Fucking's eyes were full of disdain. Who do you think you are, daring to raise your voice in front of me? Although Zhao Fucking was a prince, Chao Jun currently held no official position. Hearing this, his eyes showed a hint of discomfort, but he remained steadfast in front of Jiang Ruyun. Seeing this scene, Jiang Peihuan was a little more satisfied with Chao Jun. And who are you to speak to me in such a manner? Before Jiang Peihuan could speak, Xiao Nanya's voice was heard. At this moment, Xiao Nanya's face was completely cold, and his eyes revealed undisguised contempt and mockery. Hearing Xiao Nanya's words, Zhao Fucking's eyes momentarily darkened, but the shadow quickly dissipated. Dismounting his horse, he respectfully greeted Xiao Nani. Greetings to your highness, King Cheng. Seeing this, a slight smirk played at the corner of Xiao Nanya's eyes. I apologize for disturbing you, your highness, Zhao Fucking said. If you know it is a disturbance, then behave yourself, Xiao Nani replied, his tone full of warning. Yes. Zhong Fucking's eyes were gloomy, but his attitude was very gentle. Even if he was talking to Xiao Nani, Jiang Peihuan still felt a little strange. However, since Zhao Fucking didn't make further provocations, Jiang Peihuan chose not to say anything. She followed Xiao Nani back into the carriage. After sitting down in the carriage, she turned to Xiao Nani and said, It seems that Prince Huainan is also heading to West Mountain for hunting. That seems to be the case, he replied. But West Mountain is vast. With me present, he will likely keep his distance. If you're uncomfortable with this, I can tell him to leave, Xiao Nani offered. As he spoke, he prepared to lift the carriage curtain, but Jiang Peihuan held his hand to stop him. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Come. Chapter 203. Hunting. Facing the man's puzzled expression, Jiang Peihuan whispered, Regardless, he is the prince of the Huainan mansion. If he's here, it must be with the emperor's consent. As you've mentioned, West Mountain is vast. Then we'll proceed as you suggest. Aside from Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani paid no attention to anyone else. Although the atmosphere in Jiang Peihuan's carriage was serene, the carriage behind, which carried Jiang Ruyun, was enshrouded in silence. Brother Chaoim, you don't need to explain. I understand. Panic filled Jiang Ruyun's eyes, but Chao Jun took her hand reassuringly. Seeing his comforting gaze, Jiang Ruyun's anxiety subsided, but then she exclaimed, I have no ties to him anymore. I don't know why he's even here. It's hunting season, perhaps it's merely a coincidence. Noticing Jiang Ruyun's lingering distress, Chao Jun soothed her. Don't fret. With King Qing around, one doubt Prince Huainan would act recklessly. Furthermore, West Mountain is vast. We might not even encounter him. That's true. An hour later, Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani reached the West Mountain. Xiao Nani had already arranged for tents to be set up. Gazing at the distant scenery, Jiang Peihuan felt a weight lifted off her shoulders. Everyone seemed to have put Zhao Fucking out of their minds. However, unbeknownst to them, Zhao Fucking was in a nearby tent with Yan Xian. Yan Xian whispered, seeing the fury in Zhao Fucking's eyes, Your Highness, don't seethe. Hunting has its risks. If anything were to happen to Chao Jun, no one would be blamed. The mere mention of Chao Jun caused Yan Xin's expression to darken. Recalling how Chao Jun had broken their engagement to marry Jiang Ruyun, turning her into the capital's laughingstock, Yan Xian was seething with rage. She sensed an opportunity when she learned that the Jiang sisters were heading to West Mountain for a hunt. This led her to seek out Zhao Fucking, precipitating the day's events. All of this remained unknown to Jiang Peihuan. After freshening up, they exited the tent. Jiang Peihuan paired up with Xiao Nani. As she watched Jiang Ruyun and Chao Jun mount their horses, she advised, Be cautious and don't venture too far. Fear not, eldest Mississippi will ensure Rian's safety. Acknowledging Jiang Peihuan's words with respect, Chao Jun replied. Jiang Peihuan nodded and said nothing more. Even though the Chao family was renowned for their scholastic achievements, Chao Jun had been proficient in horse riding and archery since his youth. As Jiang Peihuan watched Jiang Riyun and Chao Jun ride away, she joined Lai Feng, mounting the horse with agility. Xiao Nany's gaze softened, observing her. After mounting his horse, Zhui Yun, Xiao Nani directed it beside Jiang Peihuan. Han Feng and Yi Xiao handed them their respective bows and quivers. Accepting the bow from Yi Xiao, Jiang Peihuan remarked, "It's hunting season. You can leave me be and enjoy yourself." Understood, Yi Xiao responded with a nod. After stowing her equipment, Jiang Peihuan addressed Xiao Nani confidently. "Xiao Nani, I won't hold back." Her spirited demeanor drew a smile from Xiao Nani. "Neither will I." With a soft chuckle, Jiang Peihuan spurred Lai Feng forward. Having been with Jiang Peihuan for several years, Lai Feng responded keenly to her cues. At her command, it bolted like the wind. With reins in one hand and bow in the other, Jiang Peihuan took off. At this moment, it indeed was a good time for hunting. Jiang Peihuan hadn't gone far when she noticed a movement in the grass. Letting go of the reins, she drew an arrow from the quiver beside her. After knocking the arrow and pulling the bowstring, she aimed at the rustling grass. A brown rabbit sprang out from the bushes. Without hesitation, the arrow in Jiang Peihuan's hand was released. Jiang Peihuan's archery skills were personally taught by Jiang Hong, and even among the military, many were no match for her. Following closely behind Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani watched her ride gallantly, a smile playing on his lips. Jiang Peihuan was dressed in a green dress, and her long hair was tied up casually with a green ribbon. As she rode her horse at full speed, her hair flowed behind her, creating a stunning silhouette. Watching as Jiang Peihuan's arrows always hit their mark, Xiao Nani also became interested. Over time, several of Jiang Peihuan's arrows hit the same prey as Xiao Nany's. Jiang Peihuan's eyes revealed some surprise. She knew that Xiao Nani was skilled in archery on horseback, but she hadn't expected him to be this outstanding. Jiang Peihuan became even more determined, and soon, many prey lay around her. Apart from rabbits and wild chickens, there were larger prey like deer and mountain goats. As Jiang Peihuan was heading deeper into the woods, she heard galloping hooves approaching. Alongside this was a scream. "Eldest miss?" Jiang Peihuan recognized the voice. It was Lan Er, the maid who served Jiang Riyun. Most of the Jiang family's servants could ride and shoot, so at this moment Lan Er was galloping towards Jiang Peihuan. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan halted her horse. "Eldest Miss Master Chao. Young Master Chao is in trouble." Panic filled Lan Er's eyes. Jiang Peihuan dismounted and approached her, whispering, "Calm down. What happened to Chao Jun?" "Young Master Chao is surrounded by a pack of wolves." "Wolves?" Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan's eyes were filled with confusion. However, this was not the time to pursue the matter. The most important thing now was to find Chao Jun. "Where's your second miss?" "Second miss is guarding young Master Chao." "Lead the way." "Yes." Jiang Peihuan instinctively looked towards Xiao Nani and found him already by her side, riding on his horse. Young Master Chao came today on the Jiang family's invitation. "I should go and check on him. If something really happened to Chao Jun, no matter how gentle the Chao family was, they would still hate the Jiang family. After all, Chao Jun was the only son of the Chao family. I'll go with you." Seeing that Jiang Peihuan still wanted to say something, Xiao Nani said, "With me around, there's no need for you to take risks. Lead the way." After saying that, he glanced at Lan Er. She quickly spurred her horse on. Then Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan followed. They hadn't gone far when Jiang Peihuan heard the howls of wolves. While there were wolves in the West Mountain, they were deep in the mountains. Jiang Peihuan wondered how this pack had made its way to the outskirts. "Brother Chao, be careful." By the time Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani arrived, they saw a wolf lunging at Jiang Ruyun. Chao Jun, seeing this, immediately embraced Jiang Ruyun to shield her. Witnessing this, Jiang Peihuan quickly drew an arrow. Follow current novels on Top Novel Fool. Com. Chapter 204. Encountering wolves. Jiang Peihuan shot an arrow through the neck of a wolf. This arrow had saved Qiao Jun, but had also precipitated a significant disaster. Wolves are pack animals, but they are also highly vengeful. When the wolf fell, the wolf pack that had threatened Qiao Jun and Jiang Ruyun immediately turned their attention to Jiang Peihuan, who held a bow and arrow. For a brief moment, the air was silent. Eldest Miss. Master. Han Feng and Yi Xiao arrived at that instant. Surveying the scene before them, both displayed evident concern. After a tense pause, Jiang Peihuan knocked another arrow. Noticing the newcomers, she whispered, "Wolves are highly vengeful. In that case, let's not leave a single one alive," Xiao Nani declared, drawing his own bow as he spoke. Seeing this, both Han Feng and Yi Xiao readied their bows and arrows. The four were skilled archers. In no time, many wolves lay slain. Jiang Ruyun and Qiao Jun, who were surrounded by the wolf pack, did not dare to move. Qiao Jun even shielded Jiang Ruyun behind him. "Eldest Miss, these beasts are running away." Being astute creatures, the wolves sensed the formidable presence of Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani and chose to flee. Hearing Yi Xiao's voice, Jiang Peihuan didn't respond vocally, but hastened her arrow shooting. In a matter of moments, the entire wolf pack was vanquished. Suddenly Jiang Ruyun, her eyes wide with horror, cried out, "Elder sister, be careful behind you." Upon hearing Jiang Ruyun's warning, Jiang Peihuan immediately aimed her bow behind her, but it was a step too late. A white wolf lunged at Jiang Peihuan. She rolled away swiftly, but her clothes were torn by the wolf's claws, sending an icy chill down her spine. This wolf, larger than the rest, was clearly the pack's alpha. Reaching for her waist, Jiang Peihuan drew a black whip and lashed at the wolf, but it dodged, leaving a deep mark on the ground. "Master." Realizing his quiver was empty, Xiao Nani tossed the bow to Han Feng and dashed towards Jiang Peihuan, drawing his long sword as he landed beside her. The alpha wolf glanced at Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani with its green eyes and charged forward. Its speed was remarkable. As Xiao Nani swung his sword, he pulled Jiang Peihuan behind him. "It's fast, be careful not to get hurt." Back to back with Xiao Nani, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "I have a way to kill it. In a while it'll take the initiative to attack, you aim for its eyes." As soon as she finished speaking, Jiang Peihuan flipped her wrist and the long whip lashed at the alpha wolf's neck, but it dodged in an instant. However, Jiang Peihuan did not care. Instead, she moved forward with determination. Jiang Peihuan's whip struck fiercely, but the alpha wolf's reactions were even faster. Once Jiang Ruyun saw that the immediate danger was past, she wanted to help. She began to move forward, but Qiao Jun held her hand. "Ruyun, I'll go help elder sister." After saying that, Jiang Ruyun went forward. Upon seeing her, Jiang Peihuan said coldly, "Who told you to come over? Leave. Elder sister, let me help you." Ignoring the coldness in Jiang Peihuan's eyes, Jiang Ruyun walked forward and drew the long whip from her waist. The purple whip lashed out instantly towards the alpha wolf. The long purple whip instantly lashed towards the alpha wolf. Jiang Ruyun's martial arts were average, the whip in her hand was quite good. With Jiang Ruyun's participation, the alpha wolf obviously struggled more to dodge. The entire mountain was filled with the sound of wolves howling. Not far away, Yan Xian and Zhao Fucking, hearing the howls, had smiles in their eyes. "Now I'm curious if they can survive this." Hearing this, Zhao Fucking remained silent, but a smug look was evident in his eyes. "Xiao Nani, do it." Jiang Peihuan's black whip suddenly wrapped around the Alpha King's neck, and she immediately looked at Xiao Nani. Hearing her voice, Xiao Nani swiftly thrust his sword not into the wolf's eyes as expected, but straight into its neck. Moreover, he pinned the Alpha King to the ground with his entire body. The Alpha King on the ground thrashed constantly, but Xiao Nani firmly held it down. The strength of the Alpha King was formidable, and just when it seemed that Xiao Nani couldn't hold it any longer, the veins in Jiang Peihuan's hand that held the whip protruded prominently. Seeing this, Jiang Ruyun hurriedly went to Jiang Peihuan's side and helped her pull the whip. Even so, the Alpha King continued to struggle. "Hurry, Han Feng, witnessing this, quickly looked at Yi Xiao. After exchanging glances, both drew the daggers from their waists. Then, their daggers pierced straight into the alpha wolf chest and abdomen. Blood splattered over the two, but neither seemed to care. As the alpha wolf let out a tragic howl, Jiang Peihuan felt as though the entire mountain was shaking. The alpha wolf constantly tried to bite Xiao Nani. Pain surged through Jiang Peihuan's palm, but she held onto the whip as if numb to the pain. Seeing blood seeping from Xiao Nani's palm, Jiang Ruyan's face changed, and she gripped even harder. Chao Jun, who was nearby, also drew a dagger from his body and approached Xiao Nani. Facing the snarling alpha wolf, fear flashed in Chao Jun's eyes, but he still raised his dagger and plunged it into the alpha wolf's neck. Jiang Peihuan distinctly felt the struggling force in her hands decrease significantly. Even so, the alpha wolf kept struggling, and no one dared to let go. When Jiang Peihuan felt that her palms were numb, she finally saw the alpha wolf lower its head. Huanair. Xiao Nanyi immediately let go of the alpha wolf and went to Jiang Peihuan's side. Seeing her bloody palm, Xiao Nanye's expression turned extremely grim. Master, the medicine. Seeing this, Han Feng quickly took out the wound ointment. Ruyun, your hand. Chao Jun also walked to Jiang Ruyan's side. When he saw the blood on her palm, Chao Jun's eyes were filled with worry. Hearing his words, Jiang Ruyan shook her head. I'm fine. Elder sister's injury is worse than mine. Xiao Nanyi had already applied the ointment to Jiang Peihuan's palm, and then handed the bottle to Chao Jun. Thank you, Your Highness. After thanking Xiao Nanyi, Chao Jun quickly treated Jiang Ruyan. After the ordeal, no one was in the mood for hunting anymore, so they returned to their tents. Everyone gathered in Xiao Nanye's tent. After sitting down, Jiang Peihuan turned to Chao Jun and Jiang Ruyan. How did you encounter the pack of wolves? I don't know either. But it didn't seem like I stumbled upon the wolves. It felt more like they sought me out. Hearing Chao Jun's words, a hint of confusion appeared in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. Chapter 205. Zhao Fucking's leg was bitten off. Facing the puzzled expression of Jiang Peihuan, Chao Jun continued. Ru Yin and I were always on the outskirts, but the wolves suddenly appeared. Hearing this, the confusion in Jiang Peihuan's eyes deepened. Eldest miss. At this moment Lu Er walked in from outside. In Lu Er's hand, there was also a white puppy. No, not a puppy, a wolf. Seeing Jian Peihuan looking at her, Lu Er said softly, Eldest miss, this was found in second miscarriage. No wonder. Wolves are very sensitive to scent. This little wolf cub was in your carriage, so your body was stained with the scent of the little wolf cub, so those wolves thought that you took the cub. But we never saw this wolf cub in the carriage before. Eldest miss, I've asked the people in the mansion. I heard that someone saw the people of Huainan Mansion pass by our side. Them. Hearing Lu Er's words, Jiang Ruyan's eyes were filled with anger. There was also a hint of anger in Jiang Peihuan's eyes, but she remained very calm. Looking at her bandaged right hand, she turned to Xiao Nani and said, Let's return to the mansion in a few days. We came all this way after all. Because of Jiang Peihuan's injury, Xiao Nani planned to return today. But hearing her words now he nodded. As you wish. Then Jiang Peihuan turned to Yi Xiao. Find some herbs for me. Yes. That night, Jiang Peihuan handed the prepared medicine to Han Feng. Can you sprinkle this on the tent of the Prince Huainan? Taking the porcelain bottle from Jiang Peihuan, Han Feng confidently patted his chest and said with a smile, Don't worry, eldest miss, will get it done. Elder sister, what kind of medicine is it? Watching Han Feng leave, Jiang Ruyan couldn't help but ask Jiang Peihuan. Hearing her, Jiang Peihuan smiled and said, It's just a scent that certain wild beasts are fond of. But I'm not quite sure which wild beast it attracts. Eldest miss, what should we do with this little wolf cub? At this moment, Lu Er approached Jiang Peihuan, still holding the white wolf cub. Just by looking at the cub's fur, Jiang Peihuan knew it was the son of the alpha wolf. Logically, they shouldn't keep the wolf cub, but seeing it quietly nestled in Lu Er's arms, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but reach out to it. Jiang Peihuan had reached out her hand when the wolf cub stuck out its tongue, and licked Jiang Peihuan's fingertips. After a moment of silence, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "Let's raise it for now." "Raise it? Eldest miss, you want to keep a wolf?" "For now. If it's a treacherous wolf, she won't keep it." Not far away, in the tent of the Prince Huainan mansion. "Any news?" he whispered to the man in front of him. As he finished speaking, a servant walked in. "Your Highness, all the wolves are dead." "What did you say?" The servant repeated his words and continued, "The alpha wolf is also dead." Hearing this, Zhao Fucking was shocked and sat down in disbelief. As he was about to speak, there were screams outside the tent. "What's going on?" Before Zhao Fucking could finish, the tent curtain was flung open. A black figure charged directly at Zhao Fucking. He was startled, but having a few years of martial arts training, he dodged just in time. When he turned around, Zhao Fucking realized that it was a black brown bear that had rushed in. With a hint of fear in his eyes, Zhao Fucking hurriedly ran outside. The brown bear immediately pounced forward. Zhao Fucking dodged to the side, but the brown bear bit into his leg. An intense pain instantly assaulted him. Zhao Fucking let out a miserable cry. A nearby servant witnessed this and quickly rushed out, shouting, "Help! Someone save the prince!" Zhao Fucking's miserable cry echoed throughout the valley, reaching Jiang Peihuan's ears. At that moment, she was holding the little wolf cub. Upon hearing the scream, Jiang Riyun, who was by her side, couldn't help but ask, "Elder sister, could Zhao Fucking be dead?" He obviously came prepared this time, and the people he brought with him should be the best from the Huainan King's mansion, so he won't die, Jiang Peihuan replied. However, she wasn't certain about the extent of his injuries. However, she would not die. Whether she would be injured or not was not something she could predict. "Eldest miss." A voice from Yi Xiao came from outside the tent. Jiang Peihuan calmly responded, "Come in." Upon hearing her voice, Yi Xiao lifted the curtain and entered the tent. After bowing to Jiang Peihuan, she whispered, "Prince Huainan was attacked by a bear and had his leg bitten off. People from the Huainan King's mansion, having heard that King Cheng and the eldest miss are here, have specifically come to request medical assistance for Prince Huainan. Tell them to get out." The words were from Xiao Nani. Walking into the tent with a cold demeanor, Xiao Nani saw the wolf cub in Jiang Peihuan's arms, reached out, and grabbed it by the neck, handing it to Lu Er. Lu Er, who was standing to the side, quickly caught the cub, fearing it would die from the fall. Sitting beside Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani turned to Yi Xiao and said, "Tell them it's my order, they should leave." Hearing this, Yi Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of hesitation. After a moment's thought, she hesitated. "I took a look at Prince Huainan, and his condition seems very critical. If he isn't treated soon, his life could be in danger. In that case, let's go and take a look." Jiang Peihuan didn't care about the extent of Zhao Fucking's injuries. However, if he were dead, even with Xiao Nani present, there wouldn't be any real trouble, but it would still lead to some unnecessary complications. After some thought, Jiang Peihuan decided to check on him. Xiao Nani said nothing but followed her out of the tent. Soon after, Zhao Fucking was carried down from a carriage. His leg had been bitten off from the thigh down. His face was covered in sweat and full of horror, completely pale. "Yi Xiao, take his pulse," Jiang Peihuan instructed, not wanting to touch Zhao Fucking herself. Upon her command, Yi Xiao stepped forward and checked Zhao Fucking's pulse. After a moment, she reported to Jiang Peihuan, "His pulse is very weak, and there's no pulse in his heart. Then give him a heart protection pill." Understood. Yi Xiao took out a porcelain bottle from her bag and threw it to one of the people next to Zhao Fucking. "This is the heart protection pill. After feeding it to your young master, quickly send back to the capital for treatment." "Thank you, eldest Mississippi." The person attending to Zhao Fucking wasn't just anyone. It was Zhao Yong, the chief steward of the Huainan King's mansion. Chapter 206. The unforeseen event in Huainan Mansion. Zhao Yong was dressed in black. From a distance, Jiang Peihuan hadn't noticed, but as he approached, she detected the strong scent of blood on him. Moreover, Zhao Yong's face was extremely pale. After some thought, Jiang Peihuan tossed him a bottle of medicine. Seeing that Jian Peihuan had given him another bottle of medicine, Zhao Yong looked somewhat puzzled. Before he could question, Jiang Peihuan quickly said, "It's to stop the bleeding." Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, a look of surprise flashed in Zhao Yong's eyes, followed by a complex emotion. However, he didn't say anything and simply bowed to Jiang Peihuan before leaving with Zhao Fucking. "Eldest sister, are we going back to the mansion? We rarely come here, so let's stay for a few days." As she spoke, Jiang Peihuan turned to look at Xiao Nani beside her. Seeing her gaze, the man directly responded, "Whatever Huana wishes." Thus, after Zhao Fucking's departure, Jiang Peihuan and the others stayed in West Mountain. Inside the capital city, Huainan King's mansion. "Qing, what happened?" Chu Rou almost fainted when she saw Zhong Fucking covered in blood. She turned and stared fiercely at Zhao Yong. Zhao Yong stepped forward, bowing to Chu Rou before quietly saying, "Your Highness, the prince encountered a brown bear in West Mountain. His leg was bitten off." "What did you say?" Chu Rou had not noticed anything wrong with Zhao Fucking, who was covered with a black blanket. But upon hearing Zhao Yong's words, she tremblingly pulled back the blanket. Seeing Zhao Fucking's missing foot, her vision darkened, and she fainted. Queen Huainan. Nanny Wei saw Chu Rou fall and quickly went forward to support her. She then yelled at a maid nearby, "What are you waiting for? Go fetch the doctor." "Yes." The maid, startled by the scene, ran out upon hearing Nanny Wei's command. The entire Huainan mansion was in chaos. Zhao Yong looked at the servant and whispered, "Where's His Highness? Has he arrived? I've already sent someone to wait at the palace gates. As soon as His Highness comes out, he will be informed." Hearing this, Zhao Yong nodded. "Chief Butler Zhao Yong, the doctor is here. Quick, let him treat the prince." While the doctor examined Zhao Fucking, Zhao Yong stayed close. After the examination, Zhao Yong asked softly, "How is Prince? His life is not in danger, but what?" The doctor glanced at Zhao Fucking's leg and whispered, "From now on, the prince will have a handicap." Although the doctor was being tactful, but everyone in the room understood what the doctor meant. He meant that Zhong Fucking would be a disabled. "Do you mean that my son will be a cripple from now on?" "Ah." Just as Zhao Yong was about to speak, Chu Rou, the queen of Huainan, rushed in. She glared at the doctor with anger in her eyes and spoke coldly. Seeing the expression in Chu Ran's eyes, the doctor was shocked. However, he was just a doctor, not a god. He could only tell the truth. After bowing to Chu Rou, the doctor said in a trembling voice, "Forgive me, Your Highness, but the young prince's leg has been bitten off. Even the mightiest god cannot." "Shut up. Do you believe that one will kill you, you quack?" Before the doctor could finish, Chu Rou shouted at him. Then she turned to the guards and ordered, "Kill this useless doctor." Hearing Chu Ran's words, the doctor's face turned pale. Zhao Yong, having witnessed the scene, stepped forward. "Your Highness, this isn't the doctor's fault. Please spare him." He slap. Before Zhao Yong could finish, Chu Rou slapped him hard on the face. Glaring at him, Chu Ran's eyes were dark as she said, "If it's not his fault, then it's yours. A servant like you failed to protect your master. You deserve to die too." As she spoke, Chu Rou looked at the guard at the side and said coldly, "Kill this damned person as well." However, none of the guards from the Huainan mansion dared to step forward. Zhao Yong had always been a favorite of the King Huainan. Although Chu Rou was the queen of the Huainan mansion, the guards were loyal to the king. So no one took action. Seeing this, Chu Rou, already in a foul mood, looked even more displeased. She shouted at the guards, "You dog slaves, do you not understand human language? What are you yelling about?" A deep voice echoed from the entrance. Everyone knelt down and greeted, "Your Highness." Zhao Yong entered the hall. Looking at the hysterical Chu Rou, he said coldly, "Look at yourself. Do you look like a queen? Qing is missing a leg and could be dead. How can one care about anything now? He brought this on himself. Who else is there to blame?" Chu Rou was stunned when she heard Zhao Yang's words. She stared at Zhao Yang in disbelief. If she wasn't certain that her hearing was perfect, she'd have doubted her ears. She gazed at Zhao Yang in shock, whispering, "Your Highness, what do you mean by that? Qing Heir is your own son." He dared to scheme against the Jiang family on West Mountain, and was bested. Who is there to blame? And since you mentioned that Qing Heir is my son, there's something else one should tell you. Hearing this, Chu Rou suddenly had a bad feeling. She looked up at Zhao Yang, eyes wide in anticipation. However, Zhao Yang did not look at her. Instead, he looked at Zhao Yong. "Yong Heir is also my biological son." "What did you say?" Zhao Yang's voice was soft, but Chu Rou heard him clearly. She looked between Zhao Yang and Zhao Yong. It was then that she noticed the uncanny resemblance between them. Chu Ran's face turned ashen. She pointed at Zhao Yang, her fingers trembling. "You heartless man. Have you forgotten what you promised my father and mother? You said you'd take care of me. You said you'd never take another concubine. Now you say this bastard is your son. Zhao Yang, have you been fair to me, to my parents?" Faced with Chu Ran's repeated accusations, Zhao Yang's expression remained unchanged. If one looked closely, there was a hint of disgust and anger. Looking at Chu Rou, Zhao Yang said coldly, "It's because I promised your father that all these years one haven't been with another woman." "But Yong Heir is the child of Lian Heir." Hearing this name, Chu Rou collapsed into a chair nearby. Chapter 207. The new prince of Huainan. She stared at Zhao Yang with her eyes wide open. She couldn't believe her eyes. This is impossible. Wasn't the child in her belly already aborted? As if she remembered something, she looked at Zhao Yang with a mocking gaze, laughing and crying. "It was you switched the bowl of medicine." Zhao Yang remained silent, looking at Chu Rou with dark eyes. Chu Rou was also born in the royal family. Initially, it was the Huanan king's mansion that actively sought to marry her. At that time, the Huanan king's mansion was on the verge of decline. In order to secure their status, Zhao Yang agreed to a series of unequal demands from the Chu family. One of them was that, other than Chu Rou, he should not take in any concubines. The second was to send away Lian Heir, the servant girl who had served him since he was young. At that time, Lian Heir was already pregnant, but in order to marry Chu Rou, Zhao Yang still agreed to send Lian Heir away and abort the child in her stomach. Upon understanding all of this, Chu Ran's eyes were filled with hatred. Looking at Zhao Yang, she scoffed, "If this bastard is still alive, that wretched woman must still be alive too." "Chu Rou, today I might as well tell you directly that not only will I reveal Yong Heir's identity, but I will also bring Lian Heir into the mansion. From today onwards, Yong Heir will be the heir of the Huainan mansion." "In your dreams." Hearing Zhao Yang's words, Chu Ran's eyes were fierce and she yelled loudly. Looking at Zhao Yang, Chu Rou said with hatred, "Even though my father and mother are dead, the Chu family still exists. You want to deceive me? Brother-in-law has already agreed." "Queen," this time, Chu Rou really fainted. Nanny Wei held on to Chu Rou, her eyes filled with fear. However, Zhao Yang didn't even look at Chu Rou. Instead, he looked at Zhao Yang. "Yong Heir, from now on you will be the heir of Huainan Mansion. Do not disappoint me." "Thank you, father." Jiang Peihuan was in West Mountain, unaware of what was happening in the capital. After staying in West Mountain for 3 days, Jiang Peihuan returned with Xiao Nani. Just as she entered the general's mansion, she heard that the heir of Huainan Mansion had arrived. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan's eyes were dark, and even Jiang Ruyan's eyes showed a touch of gloom. But seeing the person who walked in, both Jiang Peihuan and Jiang Ruyan were surprised. "Greetings to King Cheng." Zhao Yong walked forward and bowed to Xiao Nani. "So you're the new heir to Huainan Mansion?" Looking at Zhao Yong, who was bowing to him, Xiao Nani said with a faint smile. Hearing this, Zhao Yong was silent for a moment, then nodded. "Yes." Jiang Peihuan felt that her mind was in a mess. Zhao Yong's matter had never happened in her previous life. She looked at Zhao Yong. At this moment he was no longer the steward of Huainan Mansion, but was dressed in a brocade dress. When Jiang Peihuan looked at Zhao Yong also looked back at her. He walked forward and bowed solemnly. "Thank you, eldest miss, for your help in West Mountain a few days ago. There's no need for such formality, Prince. It was a small matter for me, so please don't dwell on it. Jiang Peihuan did not like the people of the Huainan mansion. Although she didn't hate Zhao Yong, it was just neutrality. If there's nothing else, you may leave. I still have something to discuss with Miss Jiang. Seeing that Zhao Yong was standing there with no intention of leaving, Xiao Nani spoke directly. Hearing this, Zhao Yong's face stiffened a little, but when he thought of his purpose for coming here, he still walked up to Jiang Peihuan. Seeing his movement, Xiao Nani's expression turned cold, and he stood in front of Jiang Peihuan. What do you want? Seeing Xiao Nani's action, Zhao Yong quickly responded, King Cheng, please don't misunderstand. One just wanted to ask eldest miss for a favor. As he said this, Zhao Yong looked at Jiang Peihuan. You've got the wrong person. Before Jiang Peihuan could speak, Xiao Nani responded directly. Even when confronted with Xiao Minni's cold face, Zhao Yong didn't step back. He persisted in looking at Jiang Peihuan, continuing, Eldest miss, only you can help me with this. I beg you to save my mother. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan's eyes were filled with surprise and confusion. Seeing her silence, Zhao Yong earnestly said, Eldest miss, as long as you save my mother, if you ever have any requests in the future, I, Zhao Yong, will never refuse. A hint of conflict appeared in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. She didn't want to have anything to do with the people of Huainan Mansion, but when she was learning medicine, the divine doctor who taught her said that a doctor must have a compassionate heart. Eldest miss, I beg you. As Jiang Peihuan hesitated, Zhao Yong directly knelt before her. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan frowned. What are you doing? Xiao Nani, who was by her side, scoffed coldly. Does the Prince Huainan intend to coerce Huan heir? I dare not, one just... Forget it, I can see your mother. But one don't guarantee a cure. Eldest miss, don't worry, I won't trouble you further. Hearing the first part of Jiang Peihuan's statement, joy flashed in Zhao Yong's eyes. Even after hearing the latter part, he didn't show disappointment but sincerely promised. Go and inform grandmother and mother. Looking at Lu Er beside her, Jiang Peihuan said in a soft voice. Once Lu Er left, Jiang Peihuan said to Zhao Yong, Let's go. There's no need, you can lead the way. When they reached the general's mansion's entrance, Zhao Yong signaled Jiang Peihuan to enter the carriage. However, Xiao Nani, who was beside Jiang Peihuan, interrupted and lifted the curtain of his own carriage. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan didn't say anything and entered Xiao Nani's carriage. As the carriage moved, Jiang Peihuan turned to the man beside her. Do you think him too soft-hearted? Huan heir, you've always been the kindest person. If it had been anyone other than Xiao Nani saying this, Jiang Peihuan would have assumed it was sarcasm. But the sincerity in Xiao Nani's eyes was unmistakable. Seeing the expression in his eyes, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but laugh. Perhaps only you would think that way. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Xiao Nani softly said, No matter when or where, in my heart, Huan heir, you're always the best. Do whatever you wish, I'll support you in everything. While Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani were talking, the carriage stopped. When Jiang Peihuan stepped off the carriage, she noticed that Zhao Yong had taken them to a small house outside the city. Zhao Yong knocked on the door. Shortly after, a young maid opened it. Upon seeing Zhao Yong, she quickly bowed in respect. Greetings, Your Highness, Prince Zhao. She then added, Greetings to Your Highness King Chun and eldest Miss Jiang. Jiang Peihuan was mildly surprised that the young maid addressed her correctly, but chose to remain silent. Where's my mother? Zhao Yong inquired. Madam is still resting, the maid replied. Acknowledging this, Zhao Yong nodded and then gestured for Jiang Peihuan to enter, saying, Eldest miss after you. Chapter 208. Half of your own liver. Jiang Peihuan followed Zhao Yong into a courtyard of the main house. Just as she entered, Jiang Peihuan heard a coughing sound. From the sound alone, she knew that the person was in poor health. Xiao Nani, unwilling to enter the room, sat directly on a stone bench in the courtyard. He then looked at Jiang Peihuan and said, I'll wait for you here. All right. Nodding, Jiang Peihuan headed towards the room. Zhao Yong bowed to Xiao Nani and followed behind. After Zhao Yong pushed the door open, Jiang Peihuan followed him in. Inside the room, Jiang Peihuan saw a woman lying on a bed, appearing frail. Considering Zhao Yong's current status, Jiang Peihuan had assumed his mother would be of outstanding beauty. But as she approached, she found the woman not only ordinary-looking but also showing signs of aging. "Greetings, eldest Mississippi." Seeing Jiang Peihuan enter, Zhao Lian tried to get out of bed to bow. Jiang Peihuan said immediately, "Madam, you're unwell. No need for formalities." Although she did not like the Huainan mansion, since Jiang Peihuan had come, she treated Zhao Lian like any other patient. Jian Peihuan sat down on the stool beside the bed and reached out to check Zhao Lian's pulse. After carefully checking Zhao Lian's pulse, Jiang Peihuan could not help but frown. Although she had guessed from the cough she heard outside that Zhao Lian's condition wasn't good, after checking her pulse, Jiang Peihuan found it was even more serious than she had thought. Yet looking at Zhao Lian, she said softly, "Madam, you need to relax and not overthink." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Zhao Lian was stunned for a moment. Then, she looked at Jiang Peihuan with a complicated expression and said, "I understand what you mean, eldest Mississippi." Jiang Peihuan nodded and left the room without saying anything. "Mother, please rest well," Zhao Yong said to Zhao Lian before following Jiang Peihuan out. When they reached the courtyard, he turned to her. Before he could say anything, Jiang Peihuan spoke. "Your mother's condition is very critical. These years, her heart has been burdened, and she had a serious injury in the past that wasn't properly treated. Eldest miss, is there a way you can treat my mother?" "There is a way, but even if it is cured, your mother can only live for another 2 years at most. Do you want to try?" "How long can my mother live without treatment?" 3 months at most," Jiang Peihuan said directly. When Zhao Yong heard this, his face turned pale. After a moment of silence, Zhao Yong earnestly said, "One beg you to treat my mother. To treat her, you need to prepare 3 things." "Which 3? I'll get them right away." "Listen to me first. Each of these 3 items is extremely rare. The first item is the blood from the heart of the nine-tailed fox. Most of the nine-tailed fox lived in swamps and were extremely rare. Furthermore, the nine-tailed fox was very intelligent and cunning. Even if you saw it, it would be very difficult to catch it. When capturing the nine-spirit fox, you cannot kill it with an arrow. Once the nine-tailed fox died, the blood would be useless. Second is the gallbladder of a black snake. Black snakes are easier to find in deep mountains, but they are highly venomous, so capturing one requires great caution. She paused when she got to the last item, prompting Zhao Yong to ask, "What's the third item, eldest miss?" "This third item is the rarest of the 3. Meeting Zhao Yong's gaze, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "Half of your own liver." On hearing this, Zhao Yong's eyes widened. But after a brief silence he said decisively, "Don't worry, Mississippi One will bring you all 3 items. When you get the nine-tailed fox's heart blood and the black snake's gallbladder, come find me. As for your liver, I must extract it myself." "Understood." "Prince Huainan, do you realize that with half of your liver missing, your body won't function as a normal person's would, and it might even reduce your lifespan?" "It doesn't matter. As long as one can save my mother, it's not just half of my liver. Even if you wanted my life, one wouldn't hesitate." Zhao Yong's expression was as indifferent as always, but at this moment, Jiang Peihuan's opinion of him changed slightly. "If that's the case, then you should hurry and gather the ingredients. You have at most 1 month." Having said that, Jiang Peihuan walked straight toward Xiao Nani. The man had already risen to his feet when he saw her approaching. Upon boarding the carriage, Han Feng couldn't help but mutter, "This new heir of Prince Huainan is much more decent than the previous one." Both Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani remained silent as the carriage went straight to the general's mansion. It was almost dark by now. Jiang Peihuan, along with Xiao Nani, went directly to the chrysanthemum hall. "Grandmother?" "Old Madam Jiang." As Jiang Peihuan paid her respects to the old madam, Xiao Nani also gave a polite bow. Seeing the two standing before her, old Madam Jiang's eyes were filled with smiles. "Your Highness, there's no need for formalities. Please sit. Once Xiao Nani had seated himself, the old madam took Jiang Paihuan's hand, letting her sit by her side. Did you have a good time on the West Mountain? Yes, very much. That's good to hear. For a long time, Jiang Peihuan had always been calm and composed, losing some of the liveliness of a young girl. Therefore, the old madam always hoped that she would go out more often. Seeing the concern in her grandmother's eyes, Jiang Peihuan softly said, Grandmother, on my trip to the West Mountain, I personally hunted some furs for you. Winter is approaching. I'll ask the seamstress to use these furs to make some cloaks for you. That's wonderful. One will arrange for it to be done. Huan Heir, when you went hunting in the West Mountain with King Cheng, why didn't you invite me? That's not very kind of you. Xueqi walked into the main hall with a smile. After bowing to old Madame Jiang, he looked at Jiang Peihuan with dissatisfaction. Hearing him, Jiang Peihuan responded, Cousin Qi, you spend all day with my elder brother in the military camp. How could I possibly find you? But why did you return home today? Xueqi, who had been staying in the general's mansion for a while, felt very much at ease. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's question, he replied with a smile. I received a letter from my father yesterday. It said that my grandmother and my mother are coming to the capital. My maternal grandmother and my aunts are coming? Yes. You'll be getting married in just over a month. However, this year's winter seems to be arriving earlier than usual. Your maternal grandmother was concerned about the snow hindering their travel, and possibly missing your wedding, so they decided to come to the capital earlier. That's good. Your maternal grandmother's concerns are valid. Once they arrive, we'll arrange for them to stay in the mansion. Upon hearing Xueqi's voice, old Madame Jiang said with a smile. Chapter 209. The Xue family is coming. The old madam has good intentions. However, as a younger generation, one dare not agree to this matter on my own. We'll have to wait for my grandmother to come back and make a decision. Xueqi bowed to old Madame Jiang and said with a smile. Over time, Madame Jiang had grown quite fond of Xueqi. Now, hearing his words, the smile in her eyes deepened even more. Looking at Xueqi, she replied with a smile. In that case, 111 talk to your grandmother in person. Yes. When old Madame Xue comes to the capital, send someone to Qing Mansion. I'll join you to welcome her. At this moment, Xiao Nani, sitting next to Jiang Peihuan, whispered something to her. Though Xiao Nani spoke softly, everyone in the hall could hear him. Hearing the man's words, Jian Peihuan's eyes were a little surprised. She looked at the man and asked softly, You're going too? Of course. The old madam, at her age, is coming all the way to the capital to attend our wedding. As a junior, it's only right for me to visit her. He seemed quite candid. Hearing his words, both Madame Jiang and Xueqi looked pleased. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan nodded. All right, I'll have Yi Xiao notify you. Old madam, dinner is ready. Nanny Su walked up to the old madam and said softly. Upon hearing her voice, old Madame Jiang looked to the group. You can all have your meal here today. Then you'll have to trouble old madam. Although Xiao Nani was always very gentle to old Madame Jiang, she did not neglect him. Most of the dishes on the table were Xiao Nanya's favorite dishes. Once seated, Xiao Nanya said, Thank you for the effort, old madam. Your Highness, you're treating me like an outsider. In just over a month, you'll be marrying Huan Heir. From then on, we'll be family. There's no need for such politeness. Yes. Knowing the close relationship between Jiang Peihuan and old Madame Jiang, Xiao Nani always showed great respect to old Madame Jiang. Given her age, the old madam could easily become tired. After dinner, Jiang Peihuan left with Xiao Nani. Xueqi, on the other hand, went to Jiang Shangbai's courtyard. It's getting late. Aren't you going back to your mansion? After leaving the chrysanthemum hall, Xiao Nani followed Jiang Peihuan. She glanced at him and said softly. Hearing her, he replied softly, I'll escort you to Plum Garden and then return to my mansion. Okay. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan nodded and said nothing more. The two of them walked towards the Plum Garden together. Yi Xiao and Han Feng trailed a few steps behind. On their way, neither spoke a word. Yet, whether it was Xiao Nani or Jiang Peihuan, their expressions were gentle, without any sign of discomfort. Once they reached Plum Garden entrance, Jiang Peihuan paused and turned to Xiao Nani. It's late, and you must be tired from the past few days. Rest well. All right. Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, the man responded softly. Jiang Peihuan glanced at the man and turned to walk towards the courtyard. At that moment, her wrist was suddenly grasped by the man. Subconsciously turning her head to look at him, before she could react, she felt a chill on her wrist. Lowering her head, Jiang Peihuan subconsciously looked at her wrist. On it was a black wooden bracelet, but that wasn't the main point. The key was that the bracelet had a tooth on it. Jiang Peihuan observed it for a long time before recognizing the tooth as resembling that of a wolf. Lifting her gaze to the man beside her, Jiang Peihuan softly said, "Is this the tooth of the West Mountain alpha wolf?" "Yes." Gently rotating the wooden bracelet on Jiang Peihuan's wrist, Xiao Nani responded in a low voice. Jiang Peihuan's skin was flawless and fair, making the black wooden bracelet on her wrist stand out even more, highlighting her fairness. Looking down at Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani softly said, "Wolf teeth ward off evil. Though this wood isn't as valuable as gold or jade, it represents my feelings. I hope you like it. Eldest miss, let me tell you, this bracelet was handcrafted by the master himself. Among all the bracelets, only this one satisfied him. You. Why do you talk so much?" Han Feng, who was standing by and saw that Jiang Peihuan remained silent, worried that she didn't like the bracelet and felt it was a waste of their master's effort. He rushed forward to speak but was cut off by Xiao Nany's icy glare. Meeting Xiao Nany's gaze, Han Feng silently closed his mouth. Yet, Jiang Peihuan's eyes revealed a hint of a smile. Looking at Han Feng, she chuckled and said, "Don't worry, one understand his intentions." Hearing this, Han Feng grinned. Then Jiang Peihuan turned to the man beside her and earnestly said, "One really liked this bracelet." As she spoke, her eyes were full of joy. Seeing her smile, the man couldn't help but smile back, softly saying, "As long as you like it. I'll go in now. MHM." Seeing the man nod, Jiang Peihuan lifted her skirt to walk into the courtyard, but the man grasped her wrist once again. Seeing his hand on her wrist, Jiang Peihuan chuckled. "Do you have something else for me?" Somehow, Jiang Peihuan's way of addressing Xiao Nani had become very casual, and she no longer used formal titles. Jiang Peihuan's words were playful, but upon hearing them, Xiao Nani nodded earnestly. Under Jiang Peihuan's gaze, Xiao Nani handed her a ring. Besides the previous ruby ring, this was the second ring Xiao Nani gave her. The ring had a pearl face, a soft pink pearl set on it, looking very gentle. But when Xiao Nani pressed the pearl with his fingertip, a fine needle sprang out. Though the needle was tiny, from Jiang Peihuan's perspective, she could see its cold shimmer. With the needle retracted, Xiao Nani said, "One noticed you no longer wear the previous ring, so I had this one made for you." As he spoke, he handed the ring to Jiang Peihuan. Without saying anything, she took the ring and wore it in front of Xiao Nani. The pink pearl made her fingertip look even more luminous. Looking at the ring on her finger and the bracelet on her wrist, Jiang Peihuan smiled at the man beside her. "Do you have anything else for me?" "There's nothing else." Seeing the man shake his head, the smile in Jiang Peihuan's eyes became even warmer. Chapter 210. Gift. Rest early. I'll head back to the mansion first. Having said that, Xiao Nani prepared to leave. However, Jiang Peihuan's voice echoed behind him. "You prepared a gift for me. In return, I have also prepared a gift for you." "What gift?" "Wait a moment." With that, Jiang Peihuan walked into the courtyard. Moments later, Xiao Nani saw her return with a cloak in her hands. The entire cloak was crafted from snow-white fur. Jiang Peihuan had made it using rabbit fur she had collected in the West Mountains. Initially, Jiang Peihuan wanted to find high-quality pelts to craft a cloak for Xiao Nani, but after injuring her hand, she couldn't hunt any longer. So she used the fur from the rabbits she personally hunted to sew the cloak. Winter might come early this year. I had planned to give it to you when it gets colder, but I'll give it to you now. Hearing this, Xiao Nani didn't respond verbally. Instead, he reached out, took the cloak from her hands, and put it on. To the astonishment of those present, Xiao Nani wore the snow-white cloak. While white could appear bulky, Xiao Nani's tall and slender physique made him look even more noble with it. Turning to Jiang Peihuan with a smile, Xiao Nani asked, "How is it?" Jian Peihuan carefully looked at the man's cloak. Seeing that the size and length were very suitable, she nodded. "It fits perfectly. Master, if we don't leave soon, the sky will turn dark." Just as Xiao Nani was reveling in the moment, a voice broke the mood. Glancing coldly at Han Feng, Xiao Nani spoke softly to Jiang Peihuan. "I really like this cloak. I'll head back to the mansion now. Rest early." "Yes." This time, Jiang Peihuan truly went back to her room. Xiao Nani watched her figure disappear into the doorway. Xiao Nani turned around and left. Seeing this, Han Feng quickly followed. Perhaps it was because he was used to climbing over the wall. Even though Xiao Nani entered through the main door, he didn't seem inclined to exit the same way. Instead, he climbed over the back wall. The guards of the mansion were already accustomed to Xiao Nani's antics. Seeing him and his servant climb the wall, they acted as if they saw nothing. Xiao Nani sat on Zhui Yun's back, while Han Feng followed beside him. Noticing the white cloak on Xiao Nani in contrast to his own thin clothing, Han Feng felt a pang of envy. "Keep staring, and 111 gouge out your eyes. Master, do you think one should find a wife too?" Hearing this, Xiao Nani turned to look at his secret guard. After a long stare, Xiao Nani responded coldly, "Who would want you?" After saying that, Xiao Nani patted the back of Zhui Yun's and left Han Feng behind. Watching Xiao Nani's retreating figure, Han Feng sighed silently. Back at the general's mansion, in the plum garden. "Eldest miss, it seems a bit windy tonight. Should I get a thicker blanket for you?" Years ago, on the battlefield, Jiang Peihuan had contracted a lingering ailment, making her sensitive to cold. Even in summer, she needed a blanket. Having set up Jiang Peihuan's bed, Yu Er turned to see Jiang Peihuan, who was seated by the table, and asked. Gently stroking the wolf tooth bracelet on her wrist, Jiang Peihuan nodded in agreement. "Please do." "Understood." After hearing Jiang Peihuan's response, Yu Er retrieved a thicker blanket from a nearby chest. However, just as she finished laying it out, a white figure darted onto the bed. "How dare you get on the eldest miss bed? Come down quickly." Just as Yu Er had the bed arranged, the little wolf cubs burrowed into the blanket. Seeing this, Yu Er could not help but frown. "Eldest miss, have you seen Xiao Bai?" At this time, Lu Er walked into Jiang Peihuan's room in a hurry. With a calm demeanor, Jiang Peihuan responded. "Xiao Bai is the name you gave to the little wolf cub?" "Yeah, it has white fur all over its body. The name Xiao Bai fits it perfectly. It's on the eldest miss bed. Quick, get it down." When Yu Er knew that Xiao Bai was a wolf, she did not dare to hug it. But now that she saw it on Jiang Peihuan's bed, she mustered courage, lifted the blanket, and prepared to pick it up. However, Yu Er reached out several times but failed to catch it. This left Yu Er panting with exhaustion. Annoyed, she glared at Xiao Bai and then turned to Lu Er. Watching this, both Jiang Peihuan and Lu Er couldn't help but smile. "Let me try." Saying so, Lu Er stepped forward. Yet this time, Xiao Bai wouldn't let her touch it either. "Stop messing around, come down." Seeing Xiao Bai diving deeper into the bed, Lu Er's eyes showed a touch of urgency. Since she didn't feel it was appropriate to get on Jiang Peihuan's bed, she stood by the side reaching out. "Never mind, let it stay in my room tonight." Looking at the scene in front of her, Jiang Peihuan said with a smile. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Yu Er and Lu Er did not say anything. Soon, the two of them left Jiang Peihuan's room. Lifting the blanket, Jiang Peihuan lay down on the bed. As soon as she lay down, Xiao Bai burrowed into Jiang Peihuan's arms. It even licked Jiang Peihuan's face with its tongue. "You little thing, you're a wolf, yet you act just like a puppy." Jiang Peihuan stroked Xiao Bai's head and hugged it closely. Usually an early riser, Jiang Peihuan was awakened today by the sounds of laughter outside. Opening her eyes, she saw Xiao Bai peacefully sleeping by her bedside. She smiled and tucked it into the blanket. "Eldest miss, you're awake." As Yu Er gently pushed the door open, She saw that Jiang Peihuan had already sat up. She greeted her with a cheerful voice. Looking at her, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "What's happening outside? It's so noisy." "Eldest miss, it's snowing. The young maids are all playing in the snow outside." "Snowing?" Hearing Yu Er's words, surprise flashed in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. Seeing Yu Er nod, Jiang Peihuan immediately went to the window. Pushing it open, all she saw was a world blanketed in white. It's only November and it's already snowing. The capital gets cold early. In previous years, it would snow by the end of November. This year, it's just half a month early. But by the time of your wedding to King Cheng, it might be the coldest. "Eldest miss, His Highness King Cheng is here." Before Yu Er could finish her sentence, Lu Er's voice came from outside. Hearing the voice, Jiang Peihuan subconsciously looked outside the door. There in the courtyard stood a man wrapped in a snow-white cloak, the very one Jiang Peihuan gave him the previous night. However, he now held a dark wooden box in his hands. "Greetings to your highness." Yu Er looked at Xiao Nani, who was walking over, and quickly bowed. Chapter 211. Leaving the mansion for a tour. Get up. Seeing Yu Er bowing to him, Xiao Nani spoke softly. Seeing Xiao Nani heading towards the room, Yu Er hurriedly said, "Your Highness, the eldest miss just got out of bed. Perhaps you could wait in the main hall for a moment." "It's fine, don't mind me." By the time he spoke, Xiao Nani had already entered the room. At that moment, Jiang Peihuan had just risen from bed, her long black hair draped casually behind her. Dressed in blue, she looked up to see the man, and a smile filled his eyes. "If my elder brother sees this, he would surely kick you out." Seeing the man comfortably sitting by the table, Jiang Peihuan said with a laugh. Hearing her words, a smile also crept into Xiao Nany's eyes. After pouring himself a cup of hot tea, he whispered, "The young general is at the camp right now, he surely doesn't know. Changbai is in the camp, but I am still in the mansion." As Xiao Nany's voice fell, Xueqi walked into Jiang Peihuan's room. "Cousin Qi, why are you here?" Seeing Xueqi naturally sitting at the table, Jiang Peihuan laughed. Xueqi did not look at Jiang Peihuan but said to Yu Er, "Quickly help your young miss get dressed. I'll take you all out later." "Eldest miss, let's go wash up first." After glancing at Xiao Nani, Jiang Peihuan turned and went behind the screen. Only then did Xueqi turn to look at Xiao Nani, his smile vanishing instantly to be replaced by anger. "King Cheng, even though you and Huan Er are soon to be married, technically you're not married yet. Isn't it inappropriate for you to come to her room this early? Then why did General Xue come here then?" "Me." Hearing Xiao Nany's words, Xueqi pointed at himself, saying irritably, "It's not the same. Huan Er and one are like siblings. But she and I are officially engaged." Xueqi was speechless. "Eldest miss, how about wearing this white cloak today? Just wear this one." When Yu Er opened the cabinet, Xiao Nani looked at them and said. Hearing Xiao Nany's voice, Jiang Peihuan and Yu Er looked at him. Facing their expressions, Xiao Nani directly opened the wooden box on the table. When the box was opened, a fiery red gaze entered everyone's eyes. Xiao Nani reached in and took out the fiery red cloak. This is made of firefox fur. Having grown up in Qingzhou, Xueqi was very familiar with animal fur. He recognized the source at a glance. "This firefox is extremely rare. Where did you find an entire cloak?" Xiao Nani did not answer Xueqi's question. Instead, he unfolded the cloak in his hand and draped it over Jiang Peihuan. Yu Er saw this and quickly went forward, but she was stopped by Xiao Nani. "It's all right. I'll do it." As he spoke, he carefully adjusted the hem of the cloak for Jiang Peihuan, then fastened it at her neck. "Eldest miss, this cloak looks great." Yu Er, watching from the side, commented with a smile. Xiao Nani took Jiang Peihuan's hand and led her to a mirror. "Look, do you like it?" Following his direction, Jian Peihuan looked at the mirror. The person in the mirror had a smile on her face, the fiery red fur making her face blossom like a peach. Hearing the voice by her ear, Jiang Peihuan nodded lightly. Suddenly Xueqi drew his sword, pointing it at Jiang Peihuan's bed. "What's this?" Seeing his action in the mirror, Jiang Peihuan exclaimed, "Cousin Qi, please stop." It turned out that a creature named Xiaobai, sensing various scents, had run out from under the bed. Xueqi had recognized it as a wolf and drew his sword immediately. Seeing Jian Peihuan holding Xiaobai in her arms, Xueqi smirked. "Huan heir, is this little wolf cub yours?" As he spoke, Xueqi sheathed his sword. But Xiaobai showed his teeth at Xueqi. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan gently tapped Xiaobai's head. "Don't be rude." Hearing her words, Xiaobai turned his back to Xueqi, showing off his rear end. Seeing this, Xueqi raised an eyebrow. Handing Xiaobai to you heir, Jiang Peihuan laughed and said to Xueqi, "I brought him from the West Mountain for fun. This capital city is indeed full of wonders. Huan heir, with the snow this heavy, the city river must be frozen. Today I'll take you to the river to go ice skating." "Sounds good." Seeing Xueqi's enthusiasm, Jiang Peihuan agreed with a smile. After speaking, Jiang Peihuan turned to look at Xiao Nani. Before she could speak, the man softly said, 111 go with you. Then let's inform grandmother at the Chrysanthemum Hall. After having breakfast in Jiang Peihuan's courtyard, the three headed to the Chrysanthemum Hall. The old madam's courtyard was busy heating the floor. When Jiang Peihuan entered the old madam's room, it was already warm and cozy. Seeing Jiang Peihuan, the old madam's eyes brightened. "The fur you're wearing is quite rare. In addition to the one Huan heir is wearing, one have prepared several pieces of darker fur. Once the embroiderers finish them, they'll have them sent here for you," Xiao Nani softly replied. "Such high-quality fur is hard to come by. Your Highness, you should also keep some for yourself." Seeing the concern in the old madam's eyes, Xiao Nani's expression became even gentler. He walked forward and said softly, "Don't worry, there's plenty of these in the Chengwang mansion. Grandmother, one came to inform you that I, His Highness, and Cousin Qi are preparing to go to the moat to play. After the heavy snow last night, the city river must have frozen. It must also be quite lively. You should take Xueqi to see. He's been here for so long and hasn't really explored the capital. Don't worry, old madam. When one come back, I'll definitely bring you some delicious food," Xueqi said with a smile. Seeing his smile, the old madam nodded. "All right then, 111 wait for you all to return." After thinking for a while, old Madame Jiang looked at Xiao Nani and said softly, "If your Highness is free tonight, come to my place for dinner. With today's heavy snow, I've asked the kitchen to prepare a pot. Then I'll bother the old madam again tonight." "All right. It's getting late. You guys should leave." Urged by the old madam, Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani, and Xueqi headed to the city river. As soon as they reached the river, Jiang Peihuan heard lively laughter. Xueqi, seeing the crowded ice, was very excited. He ran up and waved to Jiang Peihuan. "Huan heir, come quickly. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."